Check this out. You're an official Rob Brown manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Good night.
And off we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in the Tuesday, but for me, Monday feels like a Wednesday edition of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Great to have you. Happy whatever day it is for you. I am Rob Brown. Glad to be back. Sorry about yesterday. I don't know what to tell you. I feel like I got hit by like a large tractor trailer. Not one of the regular tractor trailers, but one of those tractor trailers that has the other truck behind it that has the big extra wide flags on it. One of those tractor trailers.
Wow, that's a lot.
You know the ones I'm talking, like not like the regular trailer, the Amazon truck bringing the packages to all the good little boys and girls. I'm talking about like the one that has the pilot truck with the yellow lights out front to tell the people up front, get your ass out the way or move because we got a extra wide load coming through. That's the one that hit me this weekend. Not great. But we're back. Hi, Lonzo.
Hello.
How's it going?
I had a migraine for 3 days. So,
just dandy.
Other than that, I'm good.
And unlike some people, Lonzo showed up for work anyway.
I did.
Unlike some losers, Lonzo decided to suck it up and play like a champion today. Not me. To illustrate.
I'm keeping it dark over here, though.
I see that.
That's all I'm saying.
I didn't even go to the lights today. I'm like, nope. Yeah. For Zoe's sake, we're going to keep the mood lighting.
Can't wait to try to read.
Would you like me to do the sports flash today? No, I got it.
No, I good. Listen, play and hurt means you play. It doesn't mean you just like let everyone else pick up. I mean, I'm good.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be any worse than it normally is. So, I mean, we're all right.
I took extra care to make sure I got it right today. That doesn't mean I did, but I took extra care in making sure I did. To let you know where I am in the world. Saturday night, had the sister and brother-in-law in the Casa de Love. They came down for Easter, and they stayed with me and the lady friend. And so Saturday night, we were all sitting around the living room. I forced all of them to watch WrestleMania while we hung out, had some cocktails, played some board games as adults do. We were playing Sequence. Great game, fun game, easy game to play. Keeps the diatribe rolling. Played some Sequence, and about halfway through the game, I'm like, is it really cold in here? Or is it just me? Wife was like, nah. And I usually, I run hot, right? I run hot. She's like, nope, it's just you. I said, okay. So I went and put a hoodie on. A couple of minutes later, I'm like, golly, it's real cold in here. She's like, it's not cold in here. So I went like the 90-year-old grandfather I am, got my Afghan, my little knitted blankie. I'm a big fan of the little knitted blankie.
So you don't have Sherpas? I mean, Sherpas are.
I do have a Sherpa, but okay. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go all the way there. Right?
Okay. All right.
The Afghan was close, so I covered up. So now I've got on the joggers, a shirt, a hoodie, and I'm up in the knitted Afghan. And I'm like, this is nice. By the way, Afghans, in retrospect, I was thinking about this as I was covered up with an Afghan. What's the point of a blanket with holes in it? Can anyone explain that? What's the point of a blanket with holes in it?
Fashion statement.
No, like my great-great-great-grandmother knitted Afghans. Okay? I still have, that part's a joke. This part, not a joke. My actual grandmother on my mother's side did knit Afghans. I still have one of them. It's love, like it's of great sentimental value. It's a blanket with holes in it. Why, people of yonder day? Why blankets with holes in them does not defeat the purpose. Anyway, covered up in my little Afghan. And I thought to myself, golly, I'm still chilly. You know what'll fix this? Bourbon. Bourbon will fix that. So I went, I pulled myself a couple of nice little fingers of Angel's Envy. That's my sipping bourbon right now, the Angel's Envy. It's good stuff. Got some Angel's Envy, went back to the couch, covered back up with my Afghan, had a couple of sips of bourbon. Still not, if bourbon's not doing the trick, there's something wrong. There's something drastically wrong. So then I went to the bedroom. I got my heating pad because, again, I'm like, I'm like a crossword puzzle and a pipe shy of being 100. So I went and I got my heating pad, put the heating pad across my shoulders, covered up again. At this point, I'm not even really like playing the game. Like I'm holding my cards under the blankie and I'm like, can you put my chip on the 9 of diamonds, please? And they're all laughing. They're like, golly, Rob, you're 100. I'm like, yeah, I know. But what do you want? I'm cold. And then by the end of this game, I'm still freezing, like to my bones. I'm like, oh, she looks at me. She's like, you're getting sick. I was like, no, I'm not getting sick. I don't get sick. Champions don't get sick. I can't get sick. I'm not sick. Woke up Sunday morning in a pile of sweat. I mean, like, great. You know that sweat where when you wake up, you can see your body print on the sheet? You know that sweaty when you wake up that you can see exactly where your arms and your legs were? That kind of sweat. Woke up, the wife was like, you're a gross person. Yeah, no, I know. I didn't do this on purpose. Got up, was like still trying to pull through it, go to Easter. It got to be about 30 minutes later. I'm like, babe, tell your family I said happy Easter. I can't. She's like, yeah, no, you're right. You can't. So she went to Easter. I went back to bed. Here's how sick I was. I got back in bed at about 12:30 on Easter Sunday. Went back to bed at about 12:30. Went back to sleep at about 12:30. She got back home at about 5 in the afternoon. That was the first time I woke up since she left. Got up, let the dogs out, was still feeling like crap. Went back to sleep at about 5:35, 5:45. I slept through WrestleMania Sunday. I slept through the entire WrestleMania Sunday. Day 2, I have not watched a minute of WrestleMania Day 2. Not a second of it. I slept all the way through it. I slept into the night. By the time that I texted Mark and Zoe, which was in that window, I was awake. I'm like, boys, I'm real sorry. This is bad. And I don't want to take the shot that I'm just going to be okay overnight. And I'm glad I did because I was not. Took the first sick day, like actual sick day that I've taken. I think I worked backwards. I think it's about a year and a half that I took my first, like, I'm sick day. Had not watched a minute of WrestleMania, went back to sleep, got out of bed yesterday. The wife went to work. She left at like 7. She came home. I got up, walked the dogs took the dogs outside a couple of times, went back to bed. She got home about 4 in the afternoon. That was the first I had gotten out of bed since then. Went back to bed last night at about 5:30 or so. Have not been out of bed since this morning at 3:45 when the alarm went off. Because I wasn't taking 2 in a row. Boss texted yesterday at like 4 o'clock. He's like, you back tomorrow? And I just texted him a GIF of the Notre Dame players hitting the play like a champion today sign. I'm like, I'm not taking 2 in a row. I'll die in that chair before I take back-to-back sick days. I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus. People got to do extra work when I'm not here. Can't do it. Can't bring myself to do it. So got up this morning, slapped the sign on the way out the door, play like a champion today. And here we are. So I apologize for missing yesterday. I know that it ruined the local economy. I know that things came to a grinding and screeching halt with no The Rob Brown Show yesterday. But despite the fact that I ain't going to lie, I feel about 1,000 times better than I felt yesterday. Not 100%. You know how when you roll your ankle, like that first 2-3 days, you're not 100%. Then you get back on the court, but you're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should zig when I zag or zag when I zig or whatever. But I ain't all the way there. I'm gonna go through the 100% pace, but I'm not no contact yet. It's a red jersey day for Rob Brown. It's a non-contact day. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna throw the drills. I'm gonna hit my marks. But no contact jersey. However, we're going to do what we can do. Lonzo's here to carry us, all right? He's the all-star. No days off for the great one. He's going to work through it. I'm going to give you everything I got for 4 hours. And then I'm going to go home and try not to die. That's the game plan, people. Do what you can do for 4 hours. Go home. Don't die till tomorrow. That's all any of us are trying to do. All right. We got a lot we got to get to. I will start it off because it is, I think, important to do so. I think you got to take the L's with the dubs and the dubs with the L's. When you poo-poo on people, you must be willing to lift them up and acknowledge them when things go well. I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to outkick the coverage. I don't want to overdo it here because it's not exactly against the creme de la creme of Major League Baseball, but the Atlanta Braves have won 4 games in a row. 4! That's that many for those of you watching on the stream. 4 games in a row for the Atlanta Braves. They sweep the Minnesota Twins, who, again, in fairness, I think it is important to maintain perspective, maintain levity in both the good and the bad. Perspective is the most important thing that anyone can gain in this life. You must keep everything in perspective. It is against the lowly, now 7-15 Minnesota Twins, but a 3-game sweep of the Minnesota Twins nonetheless. And then a game last night, a dub over the St. Louis Cardinals, who are now 9-14 after the L. But any dub's a good dub when you are a losing baseball team like the now 9-13 Atlanta Braves. But 4 wins in a row for the Bravos last night. Granted, again, the Cardinals are not a good team. The Cardinals are a slumping team, if anything, right now. The St. Louis Cardinals have lost now 5 games in a row, including getting swept in a 4-gamer by the New York Mets. But that does make this series even more important for the Atlanta Braves because the Mets at 16-7 are 6.5 games up on the Atlanta Braves in that division. That's the bad news. The good news is, courtesy of a 4-game win streak for the Atlanta Braves, just like that, the Braves are no longer in sole possession of last place in the NL East. They are now in tied possession of last place in the NL East. They are now tied with the Washington Nationals at 9-13. They are 1 game back of the Miami Marlins for second to last place in the NL East. The Miami Marlins are 10-12, 1 full game up on Atlanta and Washington. The Phillies are 13-10. They are 3.5 games up now on the Atlanta Braves. That's for second in the East. The point of all of this is very simply that as much as I have been, and this I'm sure comes as a bit of a shock to all of you, I've been a wee bit doomy and gloomy on the Atlanta Braves this morning. I do want to say this. This does not mean that I think everything's swimming and going wonderfully. It's not. It's not. Quite the opposite. There's still a lot of problems that need to be ironed out right now. And I say this, and what I was going to say before I got the text from Dewey that said, quote, "You ruined my Monday." Well, I missed you too, Dewey. Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. He said, "You ruined my Monday. Braves need new leadership and a new closer. Raisel Iglesias doesn't have it anymore." Dewey, look at you. How far we've come. How far our relationship has blossomed, Dewey, because you and I are on the same wavelength now. This man 6 months ago wanted me fired, run out of town on a rail, and now we're arm in arm with Braves takes. My goodness gracious. We're like Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. We're just on the same page now. Impeccable, Dewey. And exactly correct. If you did not see the situation that played out with Jared Kelenic, Brian Snitker, and a benched Ronald Acuna Jr., I'm going to tell you right now, the Braves have bigger problems than a 9-13 record right now. The Braves have bigger problems than the fact that they do not have any back-end pitching that is reliable and consistent. And I'm willing to say, hey, you know what? Maybe just we're in a bad stretch of the season. As Lonzo pointed out when I was doomy and gloomy a couple of days ago, maybe the Braves are just having that consistent mid-season slump that we have gotten so accustomed to. Maybe they just shifted the schedule up. Maybe just they're having their traditional mid-season slump, at the beginning of the season. Maybe they're just getting it out of the way. And let's hope that's the case, because I really don't know how many or what moves are out there. I'd like to think Alex Anthopoulos is going to be cooking something up to get some middle relief, get some closing pitching into the fold closer to the trade deadline. We'll see. Here's what I do know. Jared Kelenic pimped a home run. That wasn't a home run. It ended up getting him thrown out at second base. Pimped a home run, watched it. Oh, no, he caught it and tried to leg it into a double, got thrown out. And Ronald Acuna Jr. put on Twitter, after Kelenic caught pimping a homer and then getting thrown out because of it, Ronald Acuna Jr. tweeted out, if that would have been me, I would have been benched for that. And aptly so, because that's quite literally happened. Quite literally, that has happened. So Ronald Acuna Jr. says, if that would have been me, I'd have got benched for it. And in the post-game press conference, because welcome to media, where everybody's tuned into the social side of it all the time, they went straight to Brian Snitker. Hey, Snitty! Ronnie on Twitter said, had he pimped a home run and got tossed at second like that, he would have been benched. Do you have a reaction to that? And Brian Snitker said, do I now? I didn't see it. I wasn't really watching. I didn't see it. What are we talking about? Not great, Brian. Not great. You're telling me you weren't watching your ball club? What do you think? And there is a shot that I found, I don't know, compelling, I guess is the word here. There's a shot from the center field camera looking back in at Kelenic, pimping this home run that wasn't one. And you can see Snit, and he's in the background, and he's doing his little grandpa who's out of bleeps to give pose, and he's got his mouth slack-jawed open, just like watching the ball go. And it's like, you're not a fan, guy. Like, I understand you want to be electrified and excited. You want to be on with the momentum, buddy. I get it. But, buddy, you're not a fan. Like, I need you to be watching I should not have more context on the baseball game than the manager of the Atlanta Braves. Understand? I should not be calling out Kelenic for pimping a home run and then having you in the postgame presser go, oh, I don't know, I wasn't watching. Oh, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. What? What are we doing here? So it's great the Braves have won 4 in a row. I'm excited the Braves have won 4 in a row. I hope that this is the spark. I hope they keep finding some stuff. I don't care that it comes against 2 of the most definition mid-teams in MLB. Any 4 wins in a row is a good 4 wins in a row for the Atlanta Braves. But the issue here isn't the performance right now. They got 8 hits yesterday. You got good enough pitching. Oh, yeah, that's right. Spencer Strider's back on the 15-day DL. One performance back on the DL. How did he get hurt, you ask? According to the Braves, he strained his hamstring playing catch. What? Lonzo and I could go play catch for 6 hours in the parking lot. If either one of us pulls a hammy, go ahead and put us down. What are you talking about here? But I got a manager who's not watching the game. What? What are we doing here? All right, we're going to talk more Braves ball later on in the show because I don't feel great and I want to make it worse, apparently. NFL Draft Week, we are now inside of 62 hours until the Tennessee Titans officially go on the clock. Have not finished my mock, mainly because I thought I was going to die yesterday. But I got some thoughts on it, and I'll share those with you. We'll get some NBA and NHL playoffs and more. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. We are glad to have you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Michael, thank you, buddy. I am feeling better, but not great, Bob. Not great, Bob. Not dead, though. And I'll take not dead. Lonzo right now feels like he kind of wishes he was. I'm sure. He did not miss my volume. I have no doubt. Whew. All right. 30 seconds. Be right back. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Sorry about that. We're back.
Whose was it? George Rogers?
Yep. Yeah, I've never gotten to touch a Heisman Trophy before. That was a cool moment.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get my life together, man. I'm behind a couple of days. I'm trying to keep my collective together is what I'm doing. Okay, it's not even trying to keep it together. It's trying to get it back together to then be kept together.
Stay classy.
Yeah, I know. Nothing new, nothing different. Real quick, I actually forgot about this. But I wanted to send a shout out to the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. We had the opportunity last week to go to their enshrinement ceremony, which was lovely, by the way. I got to do something last week that I had never gotten to do before. Touch a Heisman Trophy. I've seen them. I've been around them. I've seen the Heisman Trophy on campus in Tallahassee when I was covering the Knowles. I've seen Tebow's Heisman Trophy down at Gainesville, Florida. Every other time I've been around a Heisman Trophy, that Heisman Trophy has been englassified. It's been in some sort of museum exhibit, if you will.
You didn't pick it up, right?
No, I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to. I
believe they're pretty durable, so it might have been all right, but you know.
At the SC Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony last week, you
might have JD Vanced it. And,
I'm not going to lie. That thought was spinning through my head for just a minute. So we went out and I had the opportunity, and again, very appreciative to everybody over at the SC Hall of Fame, David Y, Mikey Football, my absolute dude. Let me tell you, these guys were fantastic, man. They were awesome. As soon as I showed up, they were like, "What can we do? What do you need? Who do you need? What can we do for you?" It was fantastic. So we got some very cool interviews. I'm going to be playing those for you this week. Meant to take some time to kind of clean them up and edit them together this weekend to play for you. Unfortunately, I was on the brink of death, so I did quite literally zero work this weekend. I finished the show on Saturday, Bet for the Cycle. I had all this stuff I wanted to get done for Monday's show. Instead, my project for the weekend was make it through the weekend. Anyway, I will have some of those interviews for you later on this week. But got some interviews, talked to Kyle Kennard, talked to Jonathan Abraham, talked to a couple of these different guys. Had a great time. And then they said, we're going to make our way over to the other side of the Harkness Hotel. We're going to head over there and start the ceremony if you'd like to make your way over. So, sure, no problem. Walked over, and as I turned the corner to the little pavilion that was outside of the banquet hall, I looked over, and you know that flashback thing you do where you see something, and then you turn the head the other way, and then the brain catches up with what you just saw, and you kind of do the double take. I was like, is that the Heisman Trophy? Is that the Heisman Trophy? It was. It turns out that they had brought over the Heisman Trophy that belonged to George Rogers. And it was a moment. Because again, I have seen Heisman trophies before. But there's always been, and probably a great idea, a big sheet of glass between me and said Heisman Trophy. But they had George Rogers Heisman Trophy, and it was just there on a table. And I walked over to it, and I was zoned in. I was locked in, right? Because again, I've seen one, but I've never been, put it this way. Rob Brown is a big believer in if you get the opportunity to touch history, touch history. Now, that's within its limits, all right? If there's a big-ass sign that says don't touch the history, then don't touch the history.
Could also lead to a restraining order.
100%.
If the history is a person.
Well, okay. I meant, okay, that's more than fair. But I'm a big believer when the wife and I went up to Boston a couple of years ago. First time. Rob's a big American Revolutionary War buff. All right. I'm a fanatic for that stuff. When we went to Boston and we did the Patriots Trail, the Freedom Trail, whichever one it's called. And it takes you between all these different sites, right? Like it takes you you start in the old Granary Burial Ground. That's where like Paul Revere is buried. And you know, unless there's a sign that says don't touch it, for whatever reason, there is something for me. And it's probably some form of OCD that I should have diagnosed one day. There is some weird connection for me in physically putting my hand on a piece of history that makes me feel connected to that thing, right? Like if I can put my hand onto the tombstone of Paul Revere, I feel this connection to that history that as many times as I have heard, listen, children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. There's something about being able to touch that history. I've never touched a Heisman Trophy before. I've never had the opportunity to touch the Heisman Trophy. And so as I walked over to this Heisman Trophy, just seated on this table, my brain, every little synapse in my brain is like, touch it, 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 touch it. And the rational side of my brain's like, do not touch the Heisman Trophy. And then in the back of the brain, the lizard brain, touch it, touch it, touch it. So as I walk over, and I'm like standing the opposite side of the table, there's nobody else near this thing. It's just me. I'm standing opposite, and this guy walks up, and he walks up behind me and goes, do you want a picture with it? And I was like, what? And I turn around, and I realize that they have set up a photo. It's not like a photo booth. It's like this podium that has a camera built into it, but it's like a photo stand. And he's like, do you want a picture with it? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, all right, man, walk on the other side of the table. And I go, okay. So I walk around and stand behind it. And I look at him, and he goes, all right, it's going to say 3, 2, 1 on this camera. When it gets to 1, it's going to take the picture. And as he goes to push the little button that starts it, I go, can I touch it? That's not my proudest moment, but that's all my brain could come up with was, can I touch it? And he goes, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, so it's just, and here's the thing. This is where the dumb part of my brain evolves even farther, because I now have permission to touch George Rogers Heisman's Trophy. I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm a lifelong college football fan. I've got to see plenty of Heismans, never got to touch a Heisman Trophy. So now it's just like instant, whoop, like hands on the side. And I didn't know what to do, because there's part of me that's like, okay, do you just touch the base of the trophy?
You didn't think about caressing it, did you?
No, what? Not like in a romantic way.
Because you're like, what do I do with my hands?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing I can compare it to, and I know this might take some of you back, and some of you may not be too much of a recent, and some of you may not even be there yet. You remember the first time you had that moment where you realize you liked the gal, and you realize the gal maybe she likes you too? And you know that thing that's been turned into the movie trope of like I'm gonna stretch out, and then you just kind of let that arm fall over the shoulder of the young lass? You remember that first time you had that consensual touch where you get to put an arm over the shoulder, or maybe you put the arm around the waist of that young lady, and you remember those little butterflies that fluttered up within you? You remember that feeling? It was that, but you remember how that came with like that sense of awkward a little bit, like this, or like does the hand go there? Maybe you did the hover hand where like the arm drape, but you didn't let the hand touch, or you maybe you started it and then you the hand made contact and then you chickened out and you're like, no, not yeah, I don't think that's right. You know that awkward feeling, that little bit of nervous, a little bit of butterflies, whatever. It was that for me. And I know this is dumb. I'm a 40-year-old guy who very clearly doesn't lack confidence. For whatever reason, when the hands touched when the hands went towards the trophy, it was like, how do I touch? How touch I doing? I don't know what to do. So I went hands on the side of the base of the trophy, but like just with like the fingers on, you know how there's like the base and then there's the part of the metal that's like the ground before you have the player's feet that go up into the actual player portion of the trophy. I rest my hands on the base with just like my fingers touching the base of the metal, right? It was that moment where like you put your arm around the girl and then like the hand goes down, but you're like, you don't want to touch too much, right? You don't want to over touch. You don't want to go too far to where she goes, oh no, too much. So like maybe you just let like just the fingertip rest on like the top of the shoulder and you wait for a reaction. Like, is that okay? Is that okay? And she doesn't move. So then like maybe 2 more fingers down and she'll, is that okay? Is that okay? And she doesn't pull away. So then like eventually you work your way to having all 5 fingers on the shoulder and you just kind of like finger by like wait for the reaction of, is she going to pull away? Is she going to slap me? Whatever. It was that. I just kind of let the fingers rest on the base of the trophy there. And the guy's like, okay, are you ready? He's like, yes, sir. So he goes, all right, 3, 2, 1. And they end up taking the picture. So he goes, all right, give me like 30 seconds. We're going to print this thing out. And he turns back around to the machine. It's like connected to a computer and that computer is connected to a printer. So he walks over and he turns his back to me. And as he's got his back turned to me, Lonzo, that's when the intrusive thoughts started. Because in the back of my brain, I had the thought of, I bet I could pick it up. Because this thing, I think it's supposed to weigh like 27 pounds?
Yeah, it's a lot heavier than, yeah.
Yeah, it weighs like 27 pounds. And I'm like, I bet I could pick it up. But I realized, like, they have this thing set in this spot for the camera, right? They have this, and here's the picture of it. I'm putting it on the stream. I'm holding it up. But there's the picture of it, right? So I realized, like, they have this thing set on this table. It's posed right here. It's a good
picture, by the way.
It's a great picture. Thank you very much. My hair looks impeccable. I appreciate you saying that.
You legitimately look happy.
I was so happy. I was the first time in my 40-year-old win. I was touching a Heisman Trophy. I was losing my mind. I was like a kid on Christmas. So I'm touching a Heisman Trophy. He turns around, he puts his back to me, and I'm like, I bet I could pick it up. And so in that, let me tell you how this went down real quick. He turns his back, my hands, and this is where you start going from that first puppy love arm around the waist to like the first time you're like, I think it's time to make a move. I think it's my time to make a move. Like maybe do I put my finger like under the collar of her t-shirt, right? Like do I make that first little like more than just a move? I took the hands, they slid up. I got one hand though under the shin of the outstretched back leg, and I had the other one creeping up to the knee on the other leg. And if you don't know I'm talking about a trophy, this sounds very awkward, but not the point. I got my hands in the pick up the Heisman position. And then I went, JD Vance, and I just left it alone. Swear to God, as soon as my hands got under that, it was like, pick it up. As soon as my hands got under there, my first thought was JD Vance. If I was to pick this thing up and it like disconnects from the base, or I go to set it down and it falls over, whatever, I will never be invited to another event of any magnitude in the history forever. I'll be trending on social media as the guy who broke the Heisman. I'd like to thank Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, for saving my life. Because if I would have gone through with the intrusive thoughts and picked up this trophy and somehow been the first person in American football history to break the Heisman, I would have canceled my own career. So I would like to thank the Veep, J.D. Vance, for reminding me not to get outside your lane. Stay in your lane, Rob Brown. Your lane is take picture with Heisman, get the bleep out of the way. That's your lane, Rob Brown. So thanks, JD, for helping your boy out with that. Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
So we were talking about this Saturday night. My theory is Bethesda used leakers and guys who probe the subreddit to get free publicity for the Oblivion remake, which was supposed to drop yesterday at noon. At noon, Bethesda puts out a thing saying they'll have big news today at 11 on their YouTube channel. So now you've got to tune in today at 11 on their YouTube channel.
I didn't see that.
And
I didn't get the connection.
What I believe is they purposely put all this stuff out there so people can find it, and they haven't had to spend any advertising dollars because the gamers who are going to buy this are going nuts. It's everywhere. It's all over YouTube. It has been for like 6 months now, and they've never had to spend a dime on it. And I think it's perfect. I don't know if anyone can do it again, but it's worked out great.
Hot take, not a take. The amount of in-show advertising, and I've only watched Saturday, but the amount of in-show advertising on WrestleMania was borderline obnoxious. Or did they work it in where it was not noticeable to you? Because, like, the minute that the Viking Raiders came out in their goofy-ass costumes instead of their cool Viking costumes, I was like, what are we doing here? And then Cole spent their entire walk down with them talking about characters from Clash of Clans. And I'm like at this point, you've made the match feel...
I get what you're saying, but usually those wrestlers who do that are having a blast doing it. I mean, New Day, how many times they've done stuff like that?
But like with New Day, that feels right? Because they're video game guys. If you'd had the New Day participate in that aspect of it, that I maybe could have let it go.
What'd you feel about Drew McIntyre then?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. McIntyre's interest is one of the most badass in wrestling, and like you're using it as a sales pitch. And it's like,
okay, I will tell you that Cameron and I were geeking out. I'm like, look at the gloves.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, you guys are the cross demo for that, right? But like, and it's not like even the Clash of Clans stuff. I thought was,
and he more so than me because he's a big Doom fan.
Sure,
I'm okay with Doom, but the next Doom is coming out, and that's why they're doing all.
And again, I get it, but it's just like it feels to me like
for the same reason why Logan Paul has been out there. It's getting the next generation to become wrestling fans. And it's a smart move.
By the way, Karrion Kross. Holy crap. What a promo from... Give me Killer Kross. Give me Killer Kross. I don't know if it was work or shoot, and I don't care.
I think it's work.
I do too, but I don't care. So good. Jared, Texas Show said, Rob, if you've never been to a South Carolina football game, George Rogers is almost always there right outside the stadium taking pictures with the Heisman Trophy with fans. Two things, Texter. Number one, I've been to four. I've been to a few games at both Columbia and Clemson. And here's what I can tell you. When I go to the Clemson games, I am almost exclusively going in a media capacity. Because, well, I know there are many Clemson fans, and I know many of you guys go to the games. I don't really have, I have friends that go to Clemson games, and I've bounced around tailgate to tailgate, but I don't know how to say this without it sounding either A, bad on me, or B, bad on them, but it is what it is. Welcome to the show. Nobody's safe. I don't really have any go to the Clemson games with my Clemson fans, right? Like if I had people in my life that were Clemson fans that said, Rob Brown, do you want to go to a Clemson game? Do you want to go tailgate with us? Do you want to sit with us? Whatever. I'd say, yeah, absolutely. I have not experienced a Clemson game as a fan yet. I've exclusively gone in a media capacity.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, you have. That's why you hate them. You've made that very clear. I have not had anybody so far, let's put it that way, that has hit me with the Rob Brown, got a spare tick? Do you want to come tailgate? Do you want to go to the game in a fan capacity? Because the answer will be yeah. It just hasn't happened yet. And that's not a call out or anything. It's just how the old proverbial cookie crumbles. My wife is a Gamecock. My wife loves South Carolina. So she wants to go to a game or two a year. And what mama wants, mama gets. So I have gone to a few South Carolina football games with her in a fan capacity. I am a South Carolina fan by marriage. Okay? That is not to say when I'm behind this mic, everybody's fair game. I can tell you for a fact, this show has caused marital strife on a day-to-day basis because some of the things that I have said about the Gamecocks. And I have to remind my wife very regularly, nobody is off limits behind this mic. You, your fandom, your team, your coach, whatever. This is the definition of that guy hates my team show. Yeah, I hate everybody's team, and I love everybody's team equally. But I'm a South Carolina fan by marriage. So I've been to a number of games with her in a fan capacity. Which leads me to my next point, Texter. There have been 0 South Carolina games where within 30 minutes to kickoff, Rob is in any way, shape, or form in a meet, shake hands, and introduce himself to a legend capacity. Yeah? Do you get my drift? I'm going to say this. I have not experienced a Clemson tailgate yet. If any of you will be doing any tailgating in the fall, and should you wish to be joined by a minor league radio broadcaster, let me know where your tailgate is. I'd love to pull up. I'll even bring my own party favors. All right? However, I've been to a number of South Carolina tailgates, and I'm going to tell you, the tailgate game is pretty strong in Columbia, South Carolina, to the point that, well, first off, I didn't know this about George Rogers. Okay. I was unaware that he just hangs out outside the stadium and takes pictures with fans and the Heisman, or else you can bet your Rudy Patootie I'd have been over there grabbing one of those because I am what do you want to call it? Desperate? I don't know.
Yeah. I met George Rogers and didn't realize it was him. And I did the "Do you know who I am" to George Rogers.
Did he hit you with the "Do you know who I am"?
No, the band was playing in Honeypath. Big time.
In what now?
The band was playing in Honeypath.
I don't believe in that.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were there, and I was walking out to my car to get something. I was wearing a Gamecock jersey, and he comes up to me, and I didn't know it was him, and tried to get me to buy a raffle ticket. I was like, yeah. He's like a chance to do something. I forget. I think it was meet George Rogers. And because this is a long time ago, I was like, "Yeah, I'm in radio. You know, if I wanted to meet him, I could." Yeah, George Rogers tried to sell me a raffle to meet him.
Wait. That's the most Charles Barkley story I've ever heard.
Yeah,
George Rogers tried to sell you a raffle ticket for an opportunity to meet George Rogers.
Yeah, it was. He was laughing the whole time, and I was like, okay,
"That's fantastic."
I'm just thinking, this guy's a happy guy. That's fine. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm in radio. I can meet. And at the time, I was doing a Gamecock sports show. So, you know, I'm just like, yeah, you know, I can meet him if I want to.
I'm not saying you have to know everybody in the history of South Carolina to do that, but I'm pretty sure if it got out in the public that the host of the Carolina Gamecock pregame show didn't know that George Rogers was there selling raffle tickets to meet George Rogers.
It doesn't hurt me. It's me. I mean, this doesn't surprise anybody. So then we went back and played the show, and George Rogers was out there just rocking. And then I found out later it was him.
That's fantastic.
Because I had seen, so, you know, we moved here. So when he played, I wasn't here. So I didn't know what older George Rogers looked like. And he had let himself go a little bit. He's a little bit heavier.
I mean, who amongst us, am I right?
Yeah. He was a little bit heavier.
I lost 5 pounds over the past 2 days, by the way.
I'm sure you're glad about that. So I will always, every time I see him, I will laugh about that because, and that's why I will never do that "Do you know who I am" thing.
Good call.
Because he thought it was hilarious.
Good call.
And he was laughing. And then like the next day, I was at work and I saw a picture of him now. Because there's like something done in the paper from him being at that place. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
That's incredible. Selling a ticket. Hey, who sold you that ticket for a chance to meet George Rogers? George Rogers.
He
Spectacular.
sought me out too because I was the only one wearing a Gamecock jersey there, I think. And so he just come up to me and he thought it was hilarious. So I gave him a laugh. So good for him.
That's incredible.
I mean, you know,
that's incredible.
But I will never forget that. And that's why I will never do the "Do you know who I am" thing ever.
Oh man, that's phenomenal. Well done. All right. I don't know how to go. I don't know how to go any further with that story. Suffice to say, that's the reason I have not met George Rogers outside of the stadium before a South Carolina game. Because number one, none of y'all told me that was a thing. And because number two, by the time it would be time to walk over to Willie B and snag that pictorial bit of history, your boy's not really usually in a spot. Because I got my tailgating scheduled down to Menard. I know exactly when to start. I know exactly when to stop so that I can ride the high end of the game and be done with it at the conclusion of it.
So you're saying you're at...
I'm saying I'm a tailgate artiste.
You're at Jey Uso press conference level by the time you get over there? Or
by the time the game starts.
Okay, all right.
Oh, that was bad. That was bad. That was real bad. That was real bad. Even as a dude who's fine with a little post-match in Bibery, Jay, you may want to wait until post conference. You might want to slow your roll a little bit. Do you understand what I'm saying? Fire, yeet, woof, Jay, woof. Not your best look for championship appearance number one. All right. Anyway, thanks to the South Carolina. Now that I've put all that out in the open, thanks to the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame one more time again for having me out for their induction ceremony last week. It was a spectacular event, and I didn't break George Rogers Heisman Trophy, so I got that going for me, which is nice. I was so close. I really was. All right.
I just thought, I'm glad that you showed restraint. I mean,
listen,
I've
can't
seen
say
you just pick stuff up that you probably shouldn't be picking up. So I mean, I'm shocked that, and shout out to JD for
shout out to JD Vance for being the walking warning that he was and is. Kids, if you ain't supposed to touch it, don't touch. He is the definition of the reason why your mom said, "Don't touch that, JD. That's not for you." He's the reason why there's a "if you break it, you buy it" label in every store in America. All right? I could have gotten JD Vance. That's the verb for that now. If you break something that you haven't earned. It's like, if a player breaks the trophy, what do? We all laugh and how many trophies have we had that a player's team has won and a player's picked it up and it's broken? And what do? Oh, sucks to be that guy. Ha 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 ha. Move on. JD Vance didn't earn that trophy. He shattered that trophy, and I can say as a direct consequence of that, Rob Brown decided, do not pick up George Rogers Heisman Trophy, because what I don't want to do is become the replacement for JD Vance in that discussion. Because there's going to be some leeway for the vice president of the United States to get away with it, right? There's going to be some grace for the Veep doing that, especially if the players are all like, oh, that sucks. We're all good. There's going to be some joking leeway. If some absolute radio jabroni,
You sick freak.
picks up George Rogers Heisman so he can get a, and by the way, it's not like it was pick it up and get a picture holding it, like this cool moment, right? Like, oh yeah, I got this picture back in 2025 of me holding a Heisman Trophy. Isn't this cool, kids? No, there was no one around taking this picture. I was by myself. I was the only one by the Heisman Trophy. Hence the injury. I think if there would have been people around, I'd have never had the pick it up thought. There'd have been people around. Be like, no, dummy, don't pick it up. What's wrong with you, you moron? Absolutely not. But because there was no one around, my brain goes, no one can see you. Just do it. Just do the thing. Just pick up the thing. I would have picked it up. I would have held it aloft as if I had won the damn thing, and then I'd have put it right back down. But I had two flashes. Number one was JD Vance, and number two was, if I pick it up and I break George Rogers Heisman Trophy, not only am I now the replacement for him, not only is that there's no one around me, and yet someone off in the distance on the other side of the banquet room would have been like filming their buddy shaking hands with one of the enshrinees, and off in the background, blurry and out of sight, would have been the background visual of this goober in a green suit shattering a Heisman Trophy. That would have gone viral on the internet, and I would have been absolutely busted in the South Carolina circles. I never would be welcome to you're that jackass that broke George Rogers' trophy. And I would have had to say, yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad. That's it.
That would have been akin to the man who shot Jeter.
Yeah. I'd have never been let back in at all.
Not to mention the repercussions that there might have been when you got back to work, because you were there in
a work capacity.
Yes, you were.
And listen, doing stuff like this is fine. All right, they offer the opportunity to take a picture with the Heisman. I don't care if you're there. There are some lines you don't cross. Okay, I finished with John Abraham. I don't go, hey, by the way, can I have your autograph? No, you don't do that. You hope somebody grabs a real cool selfie of you interviewing John Abraham, right? Our buddy Famously Garnett got a real cool picture of me interviewing Kyle Kennard. That's a great picture. I got that memory. That's going to get printed out and posted when that guy goes Hall of Fame. Like, it's great. That's awesome. But there are lines you don't cross. Taking a picture with the Heisman in a photo booth, that's fine. Whatever. Like, you're not hurting anybody. You're not crossing any lines, whatever, as a neutral observer, whatever. Picking it up and breaking George Rogers' Heisman Trophy would have crossed all the lines. That would have been a massive problem. Could you imagine the see me in my office email I would have gotten? Had the background blurry Bigfoot video of me shattering George Rogers' Heisman Trophy would have gone off?
No,
man.
I think that would have got you downstairs.
Oh, yeah, we're not even going down. That's not a see me in my office. That's come see us in his office.
Yeah, it would have been in us, for sure. Yeah.
Come see us after the show. You know what? Don't even worry about the show today. Why don't you just see us in our office at 8 a.m.? Oh, that could have been bad. So that's why I didn't do it. And in retrospect, real glad I didn't listen to the intrusive thoughts. Okay? All right, that's enough of that. When we come back next hour of the show, we have got your water cooler cheat sheet coming up at 7 a.m., the top 3 sports stories that you need to know. We will run you through where we stand in the NBA and NHL playoffs, because some of them are heated and some of them are very much not. We'll catch you up on the Braves' 4-game win streak on the line when they take on the Cardinals in game 2 of their 3-gamer tonight. And whatever y'all want to talk about. I'm not going to lie. I didn't put a lot together today because my objective was don't die. Mission accomplished. The rest is on you. I am Rob Brown. He is the great Malonzo. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the best 60 seconds of your day. It's the Sports Flash.
Hopefully my eyes don't bleed. The Detroit Pistons tied their series 1-1 with the New York Knicks with a 194 win last night. Cade Cunningham had 33 and a dozen boards for Detroit, while Tobias Harris added 15 and 13, and Dennis Schroeder accounted for 20 off the bench. Game 3 is Thursday night. Mispronouncing is it's a show thing. The Clippers and Nuggets are tied at a game apiece after a 105-102 LA win last night. Kawhi Leonard had 39 on 15 of 19 shooting, and 4 or 5 Clippers starters had double digits. Nikola Jokic had 26, 12, and 10 for a triple-double in the Game 3 is Thursday night. It's 4 wins in a row for the Atlanta Braves, fresh off sweeping a 3-gamer over Minnesota. The Braves bested the Cardinals last night 7-6. Braves had 8 hits, including a 2-run shot from Austin Riley and a 3-run homer from Sean Murphy. Game 2 tonight at 7:15. So admittedly, it's hard to read because I got it darker over here. But if I turn the lights up, I think I might die because of the migraine. So I am very willing to be sent home for poor reads. I'll go home to a very, very dark room.
Scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Blue will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Blue's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or BigBlue.com.
Welcome to Harvest Farms, where the best organic or natural products are waiting for you, where the fields are filled with flavorful delights, and every bite is backed with the highest quality and attention. This is a place of affordable organic adventure, where freshness reigns supreme. It can only be found at Ingles. Harvest Farms Organics. We love what's inside.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, in there. That's why eBay is my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine kit. Even got this cold air intake on the watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY street hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items, exclusions apply.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G-Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1925 packages and supply required. Please solicit the line activation on qualifying plans. Network management packages with straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025.
The Fan Upstate is bringing you all your fun. Cleveland Lions head to all coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft this Thursday night. Starting at 7 p.m. Who will the Titans take with the number 1 pick? What's the plan for the Carolina Panthers? Will they trade down? We're bringing you exclusive insight, expert analysis, and live interviews straight from Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on, leave on.
Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com joining us here on the Fan Upstate. South Carolina and Texas in particular.
No, as far as I know, P1 JD White has not broken any national championships recently. I could be incorrect. Maybe he has. We'll find out when he checks in, but
Let me know when you catch up on Daredevil.
waiting on the wife. I think we're going to try to get that done tonight before my interview. We have 3 to go. We finished the fight in the subway in the lair. She was like, "That was awesome." I was like, "Yeah, it was."
It gets better or worse depending on how you look at it, I suppose.
And off we go into hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to me, not to the air, to the land of the living. I got every square inch of my pasty white behind whooped this weekend. But don't you worry, kids. We are back, baby. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the 1s and 2s this AM, and we have got plenty to get caught up on after an unintentional 3-day weekend. Yesterday and the day before Sunday, Easter Sunday, spent doing nothing but sweating profusely in my bed, unable to decide if I was freezing cold or neutron star hot, or somewhere in the middle. I was all of the above and none all at the same time. Schrodinger's illness, if you will. We have got a million things to catch up on and plenty to get to. So let's dive right in, shall we? You're 51 minutes and 10 seconds away. Sorry, 59 minutes. No, 58 minutes. I can't math anymore. 58 minutes on the dot as of right now, away from having to pull into the office, go inside, log in, get those passive-aggressive emails fired back off to the boss that you don't want to talk to today. And then roughly 7 to 11 minutes after you lock in, you get to take that first break, walk on down the hallway, head to the water cooler, gather around with the 1 to 3 people that you don't hate and talk sports with them. And if you're going to talk sports with them, you got to know what's going on in the world. If you got to know what's going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that have your coworkers saying,
I'm a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go!
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
One of the few Will Ferrell movies I genuinely love.
Yeah, at least we got that. I mean,
Yeah.
with all our disagreements,
Yeah.
which are not as many as people think, we got that. I think there's a brodom to people who really like that movie.
The Other Guys.
Yes.
Fantastic movie. One of the few. I like some Will Ferrell movies. I genuinely love that movie. The twist right off the bat with Dwayne, who, by the way, is getting increased amount. I may be joining Lonzo on the Dwayne
You sick freak.
hate bandwagon right now. Might be joining Lonzo on that. We'll talk about that later, perhaps. But The Other Guy's fantastic movie. Anyway, water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this AM. Let us dive right in with item number 1. I keep saying individual Atlanta Braves games are not going to be water cooler cheat sheet items every day, and they won't. However, when they do something that is worth water cooler cheat sheeting, then I will water cooler cheat sheet for the Atlanta Braves. And that is what we're going to do here. 7-6 winners over the St. Louis Cardinals last night. They tried to give it away. They tried to lose this game last night. But fortunately for the Atlanta Bravos, they were able to get it done. The Cardinals were in the midst of a rally last night. They had put up 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Nolan Arenado at the dish for St. Louis, and an opportunity to do something special. And finally, something broke Atlanta's way. And I didn't push the wrong button. I had the settings the wrong way. Let me set that up dramatically again. Nolan Arenado at the dish with something special on the line. And finally, it broke the Braves' way.
First pitch to him. How about that? That's a fair ball. The game is over. Are you kidding me? And the Braves win. Nolan Arenado tried to stop his swing. He couldn't. And everyone's looking down at the baseball, and he is hoping that it was going to go foul. It did not. Sean Murphy picks it up, and what a way to end this one.
Nolan Arenado with a check swing that ends up making contact with the ball, dings it straight in the dirt. It stays fair. Sean Murphy picks it up, tags him out, and the ball game is over. Now, why is this one important? Why is this not just a regular win for a 9-13 baseball team? The reason why is, well, obviously that won the game, but also B, because that's a 4-game win streak for the Atlanta Braves. Perhaps the existentialism was a wee bit early. Yeah, let's not go crazy. They are still 9-13. There is still some unfolding drama involving Jared Kelenic, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Brian Snitker, which we're going to get to later on in the radio broadcast. But it is a 4-game win streak for the Bravos. Spencer Schwellenbach went 7 innings, did allow 8 hits, but only 2 runs earned across the plate, did K5 in the effort. Daysball Hernandez threw 1 relief inning, walked 1, no hits, no runs. In his effort, he would pick up the win. Raisel Iglesias did his best to let the Cardinals back into it. One inning, he gave up 3 hits, 3 earned runs. It allowed the Cardinals to get within one before that miss swing from Nolan Arenado, a check swing that turned into a ground ball tag out, would end the game. The Bravos ended the contest with 8 hits, 7 RBIs, a pair of home runs. Sean Murphy had one with 2 on and 2 out in the 8th inning. Austin Riley had one in the 3rd inning with 1 on and no outs. That was enough offense to get it done for Atlanta. Turns out when you go put 7 runs on the board, you at least give yourselves a chance. The Bravos are now, as mentioned, 9-13. They are still last in the NL East. However, they are now tied for last with the Washington. However, they are now just a game back of Miami for not last place, and they are 3.5 games back of Philly for second in the NL East. Can they keep the momentum going? We will find out when they have game 2 at home against the Redbirds tonight at 7:15. Let's get to item and numero dos. We're running through a list of scores from the NBA and NHL playoffs. We'll start in the NBA last night. The Pistons tied their series with the New York Knicks after a 100-94 win. 33 points from a guy I told you to keep your eye on in these playoffs. One, Cade Cunningham, 11 of 21 from the floor, hit 10 of his 12 free throws, also chipped in a dozen rebounds in a winning effort. They got 20 off the bench from Dennis Schrader, 6 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 5 from length, 44.6% shooting percentage for the Pistons. They held the Knicks to 42%. And just 10 of 35 from 3 were the Knicks. 37 out of Jalen Brunson, who is a dog. 5 of 5 Knicks starters ended up in double-digit scoring. The problem was the same problem they had last year. No depth, or at least none that showed up last night for the Knicks. Their bench had 8 from Miles McBride and 0 points from anybody else off the bench. For the Knicks, there were a combined 35 bench points for the Pistons last night, and that was enough to get it done. That series is tied 1-1. Also tied 1-1, the Clippers and the Nuggets after the Clips got back at Denver in a 105-102. How about Kawhi bleeping Leonard? 39 points on 15 of 19 from the floor, 4 of 7 from range, 3 boards, 5 assists, and a pair of steals to go with it. They also got 18 from James Harden, 16 from Ivica Zubac, and Norman Powell had 13 last night. Triple-double winning in the losing effort for Nikolai Jokic. He had 26 points, ended up with a dozen rebounds and 10 assists as well. The problem was, despite plenty of scoring, Jamal Murray had 23, Michael Porter Jr. had 15, Aaron Gordon had 14. Nobody else really did anything else. Porter had 15 boards. Nobody else had more than 6. Nobody else had more steals than Jokic, who had 3. Nobody else had more than 6 assists. Jamal had 6. Nobody else besides Jamal and Jokic had more than 2 in the game. The problem wasn't scoring for the Nuggets last night. The problem was they let the Clippers do just about everything else. That series is now level at a game apiece. Over in the NHL, Alex Ovechkin scored his... This shocked me a little bit. Alex Ovechkin scored his first ever playoff game winner last night. The Caps knock off the Canadiens 3-2, your final in that one. Ovechkin did have 2 goals in this game. One of them came in overtime to ice Montreal and give the Caps a 1-0 series lead. Winnipeg has a 2-0 lead over the Blues, 2-1 winners last night. The Stars tied up their series with the Colorado Avalanche last night. 4-3. They got the game winner in overtime. Dallas scored in all 3 periods and found the overtime winner last night. It was Colin Blackwell who got the dub, and the Kings, how about this one for a shootout? 6-5 winners over the Oilers last night. LA, the official affiliate of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, now hold a 1-0 series lead over Edmonton in the West opening round playoff series. Let's get to item number 3. This story I love for nothing more than the drama. Nico Iamaleava left the University of Tennessee, or was kicked out of, whatever you want to say. Nico Iamaleava left the University of Tennessee. When he put into the transfer portal, he put in with a do not contact tag, effectively saying, I'm already talking to somebody, all right? As the kids say, it's complicated. We're talking. That was his official Facebook status. All right, not official, but you get the point. One day after he went into the portal, it was rumored that he had already got a deal in place with the UCLA Bruins. A couple of days after that move was finalized, and Nico Iamaleava moved over to UCLA officially. We gave you the backstory last week. My man went from having a $2 million deal in place with UT to having a $1.6 million deal in place with UCLA. But once you factor in all the federal taxes and the state taxes and the income taxes and yada, 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 Nico Iamaleava's deal worked out to be about $960,000 to play for the UCLA Bruins. However, we have the next step in this story, and it's my favorite step so far. A day after Nico Iamaleava's transfer request was approved and he made his way officially onto the roster of the UCLA Bruins, a name suddenly popped up in the transfer portal. That name was Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar was the expected starting quarterback for the UCLA Bruins. The day that they signed Nico Iamaleava, Joey Aguilar's name went into the portal. A day after that, the young man who transferred from Appalachian State to UCLA back in the winter transfer portal, a couple of months ago. Anybody want to take a stab where Joey Aguilar transferred to? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the University of Tennessee. A quarterback swap via the portal. Aguilar transferred from Appy State to UCLA during the winter portal, was the front runner to be the Bruins QB1 this fall, but UCLA announced the signing of Iamaleava on Sunday. Aguilar entered the spring portal yesterday, and within a handful of hours, Tennessee immediately showed interest. The 6'3", 220-pound senior has 1 year of eligibility remaining after throwing for 6,760 yards and 56 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons at Appy State. Aguilar, originally from Antioch, California, started his career at, I have to have a shirt, Lonzo, Diablo Valley Community College.
I guess they're the Red Devils.
I don't know. I'm Googling it literally right now. They have to be, right? Like, what else could they be? Diablo Valley College is a public institution in Pleasant Hill, California. Why are you showing everything but their damn mascot? I don't, nothing else matters but this at this point. See if we can, I gotta know. Nothing else matters to me right now. All right, anyway, we'll find that here in a minute. Diablo Valley Community College transferred to Appalachian State, then transferred to UCLA.
They're Vikings.
Vikings?
Yeah, apparently they're
What
Vikings.
a waste!
I know. I agree.
You could have had the dopest name and mascot in the game with Diablo Devil Valley, and you went with the Vikings? Come on, man. You could have gone with, even the Berserkers would have gone harder than that. The Devil Raiders would have been great. Anything but the Vikings. You just went with the most oh, come on, man.
We're demons.
How bland.
I mean, there's this,
There's so many opportunities there.
Yeah.
I don't want a t-shirt anymore, Diablo Valley Community College.
They could have, even went with Demon Deacons, the Diablo Demon Deacons, the triple Ds. I don't know.
Come on, man. The Diablo Devils. I'm gone with the double Ds. Anyway, he is on his way to the University of Tennessee. He had $1.2 million left at UCLA on his NIL deal. Is expected to sign a deal to pick up the remaining value of $1.2 million at the University of Tennessee. Factoring taxes after his deal at Tennessee, not only will he be making the same amount of dollars that he would have UCLA, but post taxes and all of those adult things that come with the NIL, hilariously, Joey Aguilar will now be making more money at Tennessee than Nico Iamaleava will be making at UCLA. This story doesn't impact you all that much, other than it's what's the word I'm looking for here? Hilarious. I think, yeah, I'm going to go with hilarious. I said this to Cody Decker, Lonzo, fair or foul. The only person in this entire deal that I feel any sympathy for or anything but other than apathy towards, the only person I feel bad for is Nico Iamaleava, because I feel like he got some bad advice from his old man who was out of his depth, and he cost Nico roughly $1.2 million because of some bad ideas.
What if he actually learned from the experience, though? I
hope he did, because I'm going to keep it a buck. It's nowhere near first round potential. Nico Iamaleava he's got NFL talent. Will he get polished enough? Will it be brought out of him? I don't know yet. It's in there. There's a lot of work to be done. But if he's got NFL potential, then that's great. If Nico ends up not being an NFL caliber quarterback, that's just $1 million. As Heather Dinich would say, poof. Just like that. Just like that. The only person I have any sympathy for is Nico Iamaleava. That's it. Texter said, the Vikings didn't even land in California. I know. That's not even a geographically relevant mascot pick, Diablo Valley Community College. And to think I was about to send you $27 for a Diablo Valley Community College t-shirt, and you drop Vikings on me. Come on, man. I'm opening the campaign to get Diablo Valley Community College to change their mascot to something cooler. Who's with me? Anybody? Okay.
You probably should make sure that they're not a church-affiliated college.
I don't care.
If
Do
they
better.
Then it makes sense.
Do better. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan House. It's a public institution. Their color's green.
Well,
green.
Vikings, it kind of makes sense.
Green.
Green.
I'm going to look at their merch.
Just so you can be disappointed?
Yes. I don't know why, but there's something I very much love about angering myself. I have learned that about myself. I think I may have an issue. I may have a problem.
You're an adrenaline junkie. You like that spike that you get from being angry.
I love the text. The Vikings didn't even land in California. Their address is 321 Golf Club Road. I know. Even I, as a golf guy, I'm like, come on now. Shop all merchandise. I'm gonna bring it up on screen, you guys in the chat. Well, let's all look at their merch store together, shall we? Here's their website. All right. Choose a department. Merchandise. Shop all merchandise. It just says choose a department. You don't have your merch up. Shirts. 0 shirts. T-shirt. 0 shirt. 0 merch. Clothes. Nothing. There's nothing on. There's nothing on there. I'm trying to push you to the moon here, Diablo Valley Community College, and you don't even have merch on your website. Hat. Nothing. All right, that's just wildly disappointing. That's just wildly disappointing from you, Diablo Valley Community College. All right, well, you all saw me. I'm trying to do my good deed for the day and push merch for Diablo Valley Community College, but they don't even update their shop. That's wildly disappointing. He's making $900,000 to play football. He'd be all right. It's better than Spartanburg Community College being called the Chasers with the Border Collies. Wait, is that true? I should know that. I feel bad not knowing that. I didn't even know there was a Spartanburg Community College. Oh, that looks real bad on me, doesn't it? Their tag on their website is dream it, chase it, live it. Listen, for the record, I'm very pro community college. I got my 2-year degree at a community college before I finished at UWF. I'm very pro community college, but I also feel like a lot of community colleges leave a lot of money on the table.
We're here to help you choose the coverage you need. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farm.
Listen up, Gen Xers. Elizabeth.
Stop it, Joseph. Stop it. That is not an acronym. That is not a thing. Do they have athletics at Spartanburg Community College? Student Life Chasers Pantry. Okay, so they've got, that's awesome. Chasers Pantry, food pantry provides food for eligible students. Okay, that's awesome. Good for them. I'm not going to hate. Providing resources for their students. I like that. Good for them. Clubs and activities. Student organizations and clubs. Student engagement and support. I have sound to pull here, but now I have to dive in. Spartanburg Methodist College, called the Pioneers. But I did not see any Spartanburg Community College athletics. Okay, interesting. Learned some new stuff today. No athletics at SEC there for you. Okay, that's all. Hey, listen, you got respect out of me. You got respect out of me. I like that.
Wonderful.
I'm irrationally angry at Diablo Valley Community College. I just went during the break. Come to the live stream, facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Search it, subscribe to us, and join us on our live stream every single morning that I'm not dying from 6 until 10 a.m. I went to the Diablo Valley Community College website in the break because I was 100% buying a t-shirt. 100% buying a t-shirt from Diablo Valley Community College. I'm a big fan of just like random athletics t-shirts, right? Like just random minor league teams, whatever. That I like, that connect with me, that are outside the mainstream, outside the norm. I used to have a healthy collection of minor league baseball t-shirts until a wonderful ex of mine decided that I didn't need those anymore and got rid of all of them. It was very disappointing. But I was going to go buy a Diablo Valley Community College athletics t-shirt until I found out, number one, they're the Vikings. And number two, found out that their color is green. Green. Diablo Valley Community College, their color is green. What are we doing here?
They got a nice crew neck, black.
Oh, you found merch?
Yeah.
I went to their bookstore online. I couldn't even find merch.
Yeah, you can't Google today. That's all I got to say.
I went to their website.
You know what I did?
Went to their website.
I put merch on the end of my Google search, and I found a ton of stuff. So I don't.
Anywhere I can buy it?
Yeah, there's a store.
I went to their store on their web. Okay. I just found it on prepsportswear.com. Free plug, you're welcome.
I found it on TeePublic.
Oh, TeePublic's I love, for the record, I love that site, but that's not always licensed, I don't believe. All right, I'm looking at their stuff. Okay, come on, dude. Diablo Valley do better. Literally, their primary t-shirt that I just found is just in like traditional bold font says Diablo Valley with a Viking helmet on top of it, which the Vikings didn't even wear those kind of helmets. But that's just the most actually I've ever dropped on the show. That's a Hollywood. They didn't wear those helmets. We know that. Okay. Anyway.
Ooh, I found a Diablo Valley Nike swoosh helmet. I mean, hat rather. Sorry. It's white It's got the swoosh on the side. It's got the Viking
Okay.
on front. I mean,
Okay. Not mad at that. Not mad at that.
there's a nice cat. There's a DVC.
Is there anything worth buying?
The DVC.
It just says DVC on it?
Embroidered. It's got Diablo Valley under it, but it's DVC.
But is it green?
It's a hoodie. No, it's a white hoodie. With,
I can be talked into that.
Yeah.
I can be talked into that. We'll see. Maybe Diablo Valley Community College. Maybe there's justification for
Ooh,
buying
there's
that.
one with just the top part of the hat with the horn.
Texas said, Rob, I don't know if you talked about it during the first hour of the show, but if you don't talk wrestling soon, I'm probably going to explode. Thursday is going to be NFL all day, so if Fight Club might not happen, I need this. We need this. Give the people what they want. That's from Chris. Chris, we are going to talk some wrestling a little later in the show with respect to Lonzo's Fight Club on Thursday. We're still going to do Fight Club on Thursday. It's called a benchmark.
Yeah, it's appointment listening.
We're not going to not do it, but I'm saying it is the Monday. That's a Tuesday after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
all right.
So maybe we just talk WrestleMania later and then talk Monday, the Raw after WrestleMania.
That might be the play. Although I do have to tell you, here's how sick I was. Rob Brown, I have not called out sick in a year and a half. I called out sick yesterday. How sick, Rob Brown? Glad you asked, hypothetical listener. I made up for this exact circumstance. Sick enough that I have not watched Sunday's WrestleMania yet. I watched Saturday night. I did not watch Sunday nights because I was on the verge of death. And I did not watch it yesterday because I felt so much like hot garbage that I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay attention to it enough.
You calling in sick Monday meant that I could come in a little bit later, which means I watched the entire Sunday night.
I will. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do later on is I'm going to give you my perspective on Saturday, Lonzo's as well. And then I'm going to give you a perspective on the outside looking in of what happened Sunday. And I'll allow Lonzo to tell me all the places I'm wrong.
Thank you for allowing.
It's my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. All right. Let's get some stuff in here as we do roll on. Thank you very much, Chris, for segueing us unintentionally to the NFL draft. How much stock do we put in on? Last night I sat down to finish my mock. Sat down. Last night I laid in bed with the tablet of truth and the laptop with every intention of finishing up the mock draft. Because I told you I was going to have it on Monday. I had every intention of having it today. And I don't. And let me tell you why. Because about 7 different times, I got through about pick number 7. I was getting close to where the Panthers are on the board. About 6 different times, I got to around pick number 7. And about 6 different times, I went back and I changed my mind about picks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. About 6 different times, I went back, erased somebody, and then, of course, if you erase somebody at spot number 2, it changes everything for 3. If you erase somebody at spot number 3, it changes everything from 4 on down. I am thoroughly confused, and I don't know if it is because I am outthinking it, if everybody else is underthinking it, if it is because I have fallen victim to the smoke screens, or if it is because I, as a knower of ball, am seeing through the smoke screens. I don't know which one it is. Here's what I know. The only pick that I am convinced is happening, even though I do not think it is the right pick, the only pick that I am thoroughly convinced of at this point is Cam Ward, number 1 to Tennessee. That's the only pick I'm convinced of. There is only one team annually. There is only one team that has no reason to throw up the smoke screen, at least not a big old thick, nasty smoke screen, and that is the team with the number 1 pick. That's Tennessee in this case. They are the only team that does not have a big justification in throwing up the smoke screen. And Tennessee has not really made it a secret that they're in the market for a quarterback. And as of now, fair or foul, correct or not correct, Cam Ward has been established not just as the best quarterback in this draft, but the clear and concise number 1 overall selection in this draft. Again, I don't necessarily see it that way. I think Cam Ward has all of the physical tools that are necessary to get it done. I don't know that I trust, and this is not something I say about quarterbacks on an annual basis. But I do not know if Cam Ward has the mentality that I am looking for when it comes to a quarterback. Again, I know that that's probably to some degree unfair. I know that there are a lot of, I think it's a judgment call. And unfortunately, that's kind of part of the name of the game for a general manager, right? Is you have the film the guy put down on college, a handful of interviews, the combine, a pro day, and maybe a private workout or two to make a decision on, especially when it comes to a quarterback. Not just their physical acumen, but their ability to see and process the game and their ability to see and process themselves off the field too. Because whether you like it or not, you got to have a quarterback who's going to keep himself and therefore you out of the hot water. Cam Ward is not really a guy that has any, late night out in the bad place kind of circumstances behind him that you lean on and go, oh, he's got himself into trouble away from the football field. But there have been a lot of questions about Cam Ward's ability to lead a locker room, about Cam Ward's ability to physically stay or mentally stay part of the football club. And you go, how big of a deal is that? I don't know. Let's ask Anthony Richardson. My man tapped himself out of a game last year. And I would ask, do you remember? But of course you do. It was the biggest story in the NFL for about a week and a half. A QB1 in the NFL, a top 6 pick in the NFL draft, got his chance, got an opportunity, and in a game. We're not talking about up 24, down 24, team is already eliminated from the playoffs, team's already locked into the playoffs. Not that any of that would matter. But at least there would be some level of understanding. In a game in which the Colts were alive, could win, needed a drive, and were very much in contention for the AFC South in a playoff spot, my man tapped himself out of the game. There's a lot of spots where Liberob, the woke warrior, would say, dude, if you are so gassed, so winded, that being on the football field is detrimental to your team, then tap out and get a breath. Tap out, strap that Bane mask onto your face. You are exhausted. I am not tired. I was molded by the football. Take that minute to get your oxygen level back up and get back out there so you give yourself the best chance to succeed. Not in that spot, Anthony. You got to gut through that, man. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not old school 2 a day, suck it up until you vomit football guy. Like, I'm the guy that understands sometimes I'm pro load management. How's that? All right. Let me just be as controversial as I can. I understand guys needing a day off to keep their bodies right. There's a science behind it. I'm all in. That's not the spot. I can't have Anthony Richardson volume 2.0, and I'm concerned to some degree that might be Cam Ward a little bit. So I'm not even convinced that's the right pick, but he's the only consensus pick. But where do we go 2, 3, and 4? I sat there last night trying to draw up, forget my mock, just the first 8 spots. Let me just get to Carolina's pick. Let me make 1 through 7, see who's on the board, and figure out who's going to Carolina. And I reevaluated 1, 2, 3, and 4 like legitimately 7 different times. So when we come back, let me run you through a couple of the combinations of picks that I thought landed, because any given one of them could change what Carolina does at number 8. And then we'll get your thoughts on what those first few picks look like as well. Text line's open. The Hub City Spartan Burgers text line is open at 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. You can also call that number and get on the air with us, 844-FANFONE. Give me your first 3 picks. How do you land on the first 3 picks? Because I got to tell you, I've been kicking them around every which way since Sunday, literally speaking, and I'm still up in the air about it. So let's talk about those 3 picks and how they impact Carolina at number 8 when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. OG Tolo JB, I like that pick, and I'm going to tell you why when we come back. Don't go anywhere, but I like that take. Be right back, guys. All right, thanks for hanging in there, y'all.
They've already treated tens of thousands of patients around the country with regenerative treatments that help calm that debilitating joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. With QC Kinetics, the science is solid. They give you your life back without surgery, without drugs, and without any downtime. Everybody's trying to live healthier lives and break free of harmful meds. That's the whole mission of QC Kinetics. Call now and find out how easy it is to get back to enjoying life without chronic pain. Now's the best time to get started. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation. They're at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 864-448-3772 QC Kinetics.
Finally getting a new lawnmower. It's going to rain every day, including the day when it's being delivered.
Is this supposed to rain all week? I have no idea. I haven't even looked.
There's like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for sure. Today, 55%. Tomorrow, 75. Thursday, 70. Friday, 65. Saturday, Monday. Sunday is supposed to be nice. It is that time of year.
Tis. I sat in bed last night trying to put together my mock draft. I told you I was going to have it Monday. I died on Sunday. I made it back today. I do not have my mock draft ready. And let me tell you why I do not have my mock draft ready. It's not for a lack of effort. I sat in the bed last night trying to get my collective bleep together and I just wanted to get to pick 8 last night. Let me just get to Carolina. And let me leave. My thought was I'll leave pick number 8 blank, and I will make my decision on the air. How more compelling and fresh can I be? So I started drawing up the mock, and I went and I made my little Google document where I was going to put it down so that I could copy, paste, move around as necessary. And I got number 1, Tennessee, Cam Ward, quarterback, University of Miami. And then we got to pick number 2 for Cleveland. And at first I filled in Travis Hunter, wide receiver, defensive back, University of Colorado. And then I went to number 3, New York Football Giants. And I filled in Abdul Carter, defensive end, Pennsylvania State University. And then I got to pick number 4. And when I was starting to fill in pick number 4, I went, you know what? Hang on. Let me think about this. And I will acknowledge I started getting my own head a little bit. It is something I am prone to doing. It's a very complicated, scary place to be inside my own head. So I said, New England needs an offensive lineman. My thought this whole time has been, you got a pretty good year out of Drake May. Now we got to build around this cat. He could go wide receiver. I think it's probably a little early for that spot here. Where do you start? Well, I think the Philadelphia Eagles changed the game. They have shown you if you want a good football team, you build it from the inside out. You start at the football, you work your way out. If you can't find young, impressive guys in the draft on the line, offensive and defensive, you're in trouble. So let's go offensive line. And I filled in my first offensive lineman. And then I started going back the other way. I said, wait a minute. Let me go back to Cleveland here for just a minute at number 2. Because Travis Hunter makes sense. Travis Hunter makes sense because there's a couple of things. Wide receiver and defensive back are both a need for Cleveland. And this guy checks both those boxes. But I've also said on this show, on BetMGM tonight, et cetera. I also got to chill it out a little bit because I don't think that Travis Hunter is a guy that you rely on to play both sides of the football. Has the ability to play both sides of the football. But this isn't Colorado. This isn't college football. This isn't college football where 2 out of every 3 games are against a team that, theoretically, you are just clearly better than. Clearly better than. This is the NFL. Every week, the team lined up from you. And I hate to be cliche guy because you know I hate a cliche, but in the NFL, the worst team can beat the best team. Don't usually, but on any given Sunday, they definitely can. I can't rely on Travis Hunter to play both ways. The way I have framed it is, when I've been asked on different shows and in different perspectives, do you think Travis Hunter's playing wide receiver or defensive back? My answer has been consistently, he's going to play on whichever side of the ball that team that drafts him needs more help. For Cleveland, that could be either side of the football. But I think you are going to burn this cat out if you are playing him consistently on both sides of the football. So you have one of two options. No, option number one is you primarily feature him on one side of the football and you give him spare snaps on the other. That is to say, he's playing wide receiver, but when we go dime, I'm going to trot him out there as a cornerback or a strong side safety or whatever. Or I'm going to primarily play him as a defensive back, but when we go 5 wide, I'll send him out there as a slot. I'll send him out there as a 5th wide receiver. I'll send him out there as my gadget option, right? You got to pick. Or your other option is you do indeed play him both ways, but again, I'm afraid you burn the kid out. The second reason.
But if you do that really quick, if you do play him both ways, which side of the ball do you focus on bringing more help on?
That's a great question. That's a great question. But my thought is here, if you're going to play him both ways, sure, you've addressed the need. But I kind of feel about Travis Hunter playing both ways with the concept we feel about having 2 quarterbacks. What's the old expression? If you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none. I kind of feel that way. If I bring him in as a two-way player, I haven't really addressed wide receiver or cornerback. I haven't really addressed wide receiver or defensive back. I still need a definite guy on both sides. So that's the other reason it's a bit of a, I'm not saying don't draft Travis Hunter. I think the guy's a stellar athlete, and I think he's absolutely NFL capable. What I'm saying is I'm drafting him as a wide receiver or as a cornerback. And if I can gadget him in on the other side of the football 10 snaps a game, so be it. When we play dime, yes, I'm sending him out as a cornerback, but he's primarily playing wide receiver. Or if I'm playing him primarily as a cornerback every snap, then yeah, I'm going to play him as a wide receiver, but only on like 3rd and 12, 5 wide, got to have a first down scenarios.
But what if he's good enough to do that? Just because it hasn't been done in a really long time doesn't mean it can't be.
No.
What if he's good enough to play both sides every snap?
It's not about his ability to play. Because again, if I think he's good enough to be a cornerback and I think he's good enough to be a wide receiver, I think he's good enough to be both. I'm not saying he can't. He is good enough to be both. What I'm saying is I'm talking about general wear and tear and burnout from having to learn wildly complicated schemes on both sides of the football. We talk about how complicated it is every year, and we're getting close to it. But every year we eventually get a mic'd up quarterback call that we play on the air, and I play it twice, and then I go, okay, read that back to me to show you how complicated it is. And usually that's more from a quarterback perspective, but the wide receiver's got to know all these schemes. And then you're asking me to double that both sides of the football. That's a lot to ask a rookie to know. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying I wouldn't ask him out of the gate as a rook to do it. There's only one other reason to draft Travis Hunter, which is, let's keep it a buck, the Cleveland Browns need some goodwill right now. The Cleveland Browns need to show that they're a man of the people. They need to show, after everything that's gone wrong with the Deshaun story, with the players that have left out of there. I mean, you gave Myles Garrett what he wanted, and that was something that the fans wanted you to do. So there's some goodwill, but they need some positive vibes up in Cleveland. They need to feel like
the vibes are unmatched.
And right now they don't. So because of that, I think 2 ways that they could go with this pick. Number 1 is you go get Shedeur. Number 2 is you get Travis Hunter. The problem is I don't know which one of those 2 directions they're more likely to go. I don't know which one of those 2 directions they're more likely to go because they need it all. They absolutely need their quarterback of the future. but they also need as much help as they can get. So I'm leaning, not guaranteeing, but leaning to Travis Hunter being the pick at number 2. Then we go to the Giants at number 3. Abdul Carter feels like the easy pick to me. If I put Abdul Carter on that same side of the football that the Giants have focused on the last couple of years, if I put the New York Giants with Abdul Carter on the same side of the football that I have Brian Burns, I feel like I'm building an identity there, right? I feel like I'm building a football club that becomes, frankly, terrifying for a quarterback with those two guys over there. And to me, that feels like the easy pick. To me, that feels like the right pick. But here's the thing, and this is again probably me overthinking, but that's my job. Despite the fact that over the weekend I saw a handful of mocks, because I do take other people's opinions into consideration. I saw on 2 or 3. I'm not talking about like regular dude draft.com. I'm talking about Yahoo Sports, ESPN. Draft experts inside us who were mocking Shedeur Sanders to fall completely out of the first round. And again, I pointed this out last week. I'm not saying that it is a guarantee. I'm not saying it's likely, whatever. But you'll notice the draft invitee list is extensive. And we know some of the guys that are going. Abdul Carter's going. Travis Hunter's going. Who declined an offer to go to the NFL draft? Shedeur Sanders. And I asked the question the morning that story broke. Is this Shedeur and Deion? Because yes, I do believe that a heavy amount of the decisions of Shedeur Sanders are made either by or with dramatic input from Deion. Is this potentially Shedeur Sanders getting a little feel for the winds that are blowing and feeling like, hey, it'd be embarrassing as hell for me to go to this draft and fall out of the first round? I mean, all of a sudden, Will Levis doesn't look so bad by comparison. I don't know. But I saw a number of mocks that had Shedeur Sanders falling out of the first round. I saw a number of mocks that had Jackson Dart going to New Orleans ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And I will tell you that I got friends down in New Orleans, Louisiana, who right now are telling me, Rob Brown, the Saints are more interested in Jackson Dart than Shedeur Sanders as their pick. They're going quarterback at 9, regardless of how it plays out. If somebody gets up ahead of them and takes Shedeur, they're taking Jackson Dart. If nobody trades up ahead of them, it's going to be a game day decision between Shedeur and Jackson Dart. And there is at least one person that I know and trust in New Orleans right now who has told me if they're both on the board, the Saints are taking Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders right now. But what if the Giants go quarterback at 3? Initially penciled him in as Abdul Carter. But what if they go quarterback? What if they go Shedeur Sanders? Keep in mind, Shedeur Sanders showed up at his All-Star game wearing Giants cleats. There's no signal. There's no shortage of signals he wants to be there. Deion, before he switched his philosophy to this, well, I'm not going to impact. I'm not going to have any say. I'm not going to dictate. He did for a while. He was telling teams, don't draft this kid. He's not coming to play for you. And one of the teams that he gave his seal of approval to was the New York Giants. And the Giants, they need a quarterback. They've built a pretty good defense in New York. In fact, a lot of people have said, I don't necessarily agree, but a lot of people have said the spot that is holding them back, they don't even believe that it's their head coach, Brian Daboll. They believe it's a lack of quarterback. They believe it's not on Daboll. It's on the fact that Danny Dimes just wasn't him. So they go and they get Russ Wilson. They go and they get Jameis Winston. Quick question. Does anybody believe that Russell Wilson is longer than because I'm not anti-Russell Wilson. I don't believe he's longer than a 1-year patch. I don't think Russell Wilson's got a long time left in the league. And Jameis Winston certainly ain't the guy.
I don't think Russell Wilson's going to get the same treatment with the Giants that he got in Pittsburgh. I don't think he's automatically the starter.
I don't even disagree with that, to be honest with you. I mean, I do think he is the starter as of today, but it's because of a lack of options. So I've said this a couple times.
Doesn't mean he can't get outplayed in training camp.
I don't disagree. I'm saying today, right this second, he's absolutely QB1 for a lack of options. If I gave you Jameis or Russell Wilson, realistically, you have to say Russell Wilson's the better quarterback option. You have to. But put that aside.
You don't have to.
I disagree. If you ask me who I want starting right with Russell, and you know I love me some Jameis, but if you ask me who I want starting right now, the answer is Russell Wilson. That's not even a debate to me.
I'm gonna go with the younger guy. So
he's younger, but like 2 years.
Still younger.
No, I disagree. But we'll come back to that because I do want to set up why Shador's the guy. You got Russell Wilson to teach him how to be a polished NFL quarterback. I got Jameis Winston to show him how to be a personality without going overboard and going too big, which Shador in New York would be a problem. So the Giants, to me, crafted the perfect situation to bring in Shador, make him QB3, way away from the field. My man, learn how to be at the next level without your daddy before we make you QB1. I think so I have bounced back and forth at 3, 19 times before we even get to 4.
By the way, I agree with you. I think the Giants take him. I do. I think the smokescreen's been crazy and people, he's not even going to be drafted in the first round. I think the Giants take him.
I think the Giants take him at 3. I also would be 0% shocked if they go Abdul Carter because the kid's a monster. The kid's a monster.
That's why this draft is a little more exciting because we don't know.
I got to tell you, that's a great call. First time in like 3 years. I'm like, I'm excited about pick 2. We skip right on by Cleveland. All right, we'll talk more NFL draft as the show rolls on, but I can't deny you people the absolute euphoric pleasure that is Lonzo Sports Flash.
I wish I was feeling euphoric, but, it doesn't mean I can't make you feel that way. It's 4 wins in a row for the Atlanta Braves, fresh off of sweeping a 3-gamer over Minnesota. The Braves bested the Cardinals last night 7-6. The Braves had 8 hits, including a 2-run shot from Austin Riley and a 3-run homer from Sean Murphy. Game 2 is tonight at 7:15. The Detroit Pistons tied their series 1-1 with the New York Knicks with a 194 win last night. Cade Cunningham had 33 and a dozen boards for Detroit, while Tobias Harris had 15 and 13, and Dennis Schroeder accounted for 20 off the bench. Game 3 is Thursday night. The Clippers and Nuggets are tied at a game apiece after a 105-102 LA win last night. Kawhi Leonard had 39 on 15 of 19 shooting and 4 of 5. Clippers starters had double digits. Nikola Jokic had a 26, 12, and 10 for a triple-double. And the loss, game 3, is Thursday night. Well, I almost made it through without losing it. Oh. Maybe the final one I'll do it. Doubt it.
Of the dairy industry in New York State. It was indeed a large wheel of cheese, weighing in at nearly 1,400 pounds. The enormous wheel of cheese, which was hard to move, was first kept in the White House vestibule, then the East Room, its largest reception room. Andrew Jackson decided to let the cheese age, leaving it there for 2 years. Finally, in 1837, Jackson decided it was time to share the cheese wealth and chose George Washington's birthday as the day. Announcements were made in D.C. and the surrounding area for citizens to come to the White House.
So if headaches are according to skull size, you can imagine how bad of a headache I have right now. Not good.
Causing some ladies to pass out during the party. The smell was so offensive that the incoming president, Martin Van Buren, had his staff air out the East Room for days, replacing the curtains and repainting all the walls. This has been a bite out of history with Ingles Markets.
Quickly, we don't have much time. This Liberty ad is already almost over. We only have a few precious seconds to remind people to customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Okay. Well, I guess we had more time than I thought.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Taking care of you at Liberty Mutual Insurance Company affiliates excludes Massachusetts.
The dogs and cats at Greenville County Animal Care are just waiting to meet their forever family. We have free Pets for Vets program and hold free adoption events regularly. Visit greenvillepets.org to learn about adopting your new forever friend.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm seriously needs attention, which is why when it's time to upgrade service units, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because of one thing then another. Don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation, but then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from its panoramic moon. Well, the massage is the natural work that sets us today. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all.
Well, they're taking them away this time. Good.
It is now on my bucket list to be apprehended by stormtroopers. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why, but it will happen.
Told you one of the coolest things during it was Comic-Con Junior when we had a stormtrooper trailing us the entire time, and I saw him and kept stopping and pretending like I didn't see him, and then just kept going, and finally ended up being a listener. That was great.
I made friends here with a guy who's in the 501st, like has the full gear and all that. His name is Gunner, which is hilarious for a stormtrooper. But he's come out to a couple events in his full armor. And he'll always, the first time I did a remote that he came to us was like 3 years ago. He came and where were we? Hall of Famer somewhere. And he stood right in front of me and he just picked his rifle up and he just stood there for like a segment, like just stood there. It was the most awkward, but amazing thing. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you talking a bunch of draft this week as it is draft week here on the show. NFL Christmas is Thursday evening, 59 hours, 58 minutes until the Tennessee Titans are officially on the clock. That means 59 hours and, 59 minutes and 30 seconds until Cam Ward is selected as the number 1 overall pick. I was just kind of spitballing some draft takes for you there on the way out. And a texter sent the text during the break to the Hub City Spartanburger text line at 844-326-3663. Your thoughts are wanted on the show this morning. You can also use that number to call in to be a part of the program or join us on our live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on Twitter, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. Search us, subscribe to us, and join us every day from 6 till 10 a.m. right here on the show. A lot of you guys have offered some thoughts so far. I want to address some of them as we move ever closer to the draft. Texter said, hey, Rob, the obvious pick is the correct pick. And I don't disagree. 90% of the time when I fill out my mock drafts, I go with the obvious pick. Here's the problem with that this year more than most years. And Lonzo pointed out in the last segment that this year's draft, it does feel more compelling than the last couple of drafts. And the last couple of drafts didn't really feel that compelling because it kind of felt like the first 7, 8, 9, 10 picks were relatively scripted. You kind of knew, like, these are the positions of need for these teams, and they line up pretty good with the best player available methodology. The big debate every year is, do you draft need or do you draft BPA? And more often than not, and I think people kind of overcomplicate that conversation, more often than not, the answer is kind of a mix of both. You kind of pick the best player on the board that really does suit a need. Or you pick the biggest need with the best player available that fits into that role. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think anybody comes in with an exclusively draft by need or exclusively best player available mentality. I think that's one of those things that, and I will acknowledge this is a downfall of my industry. I think a lot of people in this business do their darndest to try to boil every situation in sports down to a black or white, left or right, up or down, backward or forward conversation. Why? Because conflict is inherent if there are only two positions available. If it is either A or B, then there's plenty of conflict. You have to be on A or B. And as is true with most things in real life, most things don't boil down to, this is either that way or that way. Most things in life have a large spectrum of possibility or opportunity in the middle. Most things. And I think that's the case here. So when I look at Cleveland and New York at number 2 and number 3, because I do think that Tennessee is the one team that either has no need for a smokescreen or isn't really laying it on thick. The reality is they don't see the future as Will Levis. Is that fair to Will Levis or not? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's NFL talent in Will Levis. Do I think the guy's a certified Hall of Famer? No, not really. But I also think that not enough, what's the word I want to look for here? Let's go with blame. Not enough blame is being laid on Tennessee for constructing a not good football team. It just wasn't good. They had one of the worst, I think, bottom 3 offensive lines last year. Defensively not great. They allowed a lot of players to walk. They switched away from Mike Vrabel. Lonzo and I have had a lot of headbutting over the NFL in last year. One of the things we have absolutely lined up on, both of us think getting rid of and moving on from Mike Vrabel was a mistake.
Absolutely. And New England picking him up, I think, might turn out to be a really good thing.
Completely agreed. I think New England needed a big time. Now, I do think the quick hiring and firing of Jerod Mayo, here's the reality. I don't know that we have a large enough sample size to say that the Jerod Mayo hiring and firing was a mistake for the Patriots. I think the Patriots wanted to lay some blame because they aren't used to losing. I think they wanted to lay some blame on anybody but the organization for the fact that they were a losing organization. And for Bob Kraft, the easiest way to do that was to lay it on the feet of the guy who followed the guy. Nobody wants to be the guy who follows the guy. Nobody wants to be the dude who follows the dude because you're expected to be the dude just like the dude was the dude. Ain't nobody going to be the dude the way that Belichick was the dude. And again, I've made my belief on Belichick well known. I think Belichick's a good coach. Do I think Belichick was like A1 great all time? Honestly, no, I don't. I think he's very, very good. I think he had the benefit of having the greatest quarterback of all time with him for 20 plus years in New England. I think he was good. I think he was good enough to understand what he had in Tom Brady and to massage the football team around him.
Will you change your mind if he wins the ACC?
No, because he's coaching college football.
Okay.
And also, apparently, his 24-year-old girlfriend is coaching college football. That's a dramatic story for another segment. Because there's a lot of question marks about what Chapel Bill's doing right now. Again, his program, he has way more power in the college ranks than he did at the NFL. Well, he doesn't. Most coaches
I don't
do.
have a problem with female coaches.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
You did it.
The audacity.
You did it.
The absolute audacity.
You cannot leave something open like that and then walk away from it.
This is the worst thing you've ever done. This is the worst thing you've ever done, Lonzo. The worst thing.
What, pointing out something you did and trying to give you a chance to fix it?
That's not what I said. It's not what I said. We're coming back to this. So, I think the Jerod Mayo hiring and firing for New England was the club trying to say to their fan base, we're still those Patriots. You're not. Of course you're not. You lost not just Brady, you lost Belichick too. Of course you're not. It was always going to be a franchise reset. To lay it all on the feet of Jerod Mayo, I thought was kind of gross, to be honest with you. But they ended up with Mike Vrabel. And I agree. I think that's a great pickup. Now, the Tennessee Titans, I think, laid it all on the feet of Will Levis, just like the Patriots laid it all at the feet of Jerod Mayo. Fairly? No, I don't think so. Unfair? Yeah, absolutely unfairly. But Regardless of whether it's fair or unfair, regardless of whether it's okay or not okay, at the end of the day, they're not in on Will Levis. Cam Ward becomes the guy for them. Do I think it's the right pick? No, not really. But, again, I had a bad year last year with quarterbacks. I thought Bo Nix was a wash. I thought Drake May was a wash. Those two guys were both spectacular. I did not think Jaden Daniels was a wash. I told you he was going to be rookie of the year. # nailed it. So let's say 1 for 3.
I was going to say, you were all about that.
And I was right about that. So we're only going to focus on my Jaden Daniels projections, not Drake May and Bo Nix. No, we are going to focus on that because accountability matters and not enough people in my industry have it anymore. Putting that aside. I'm just not sold on Cam Ward as the type of dude who rolls in, who takes over a locker room, and who is that guy. And if you're going to start a rookie QB in year 1, I think he's got to be that guy. And I just don't see that out of Cam Ward yet. But let's put that aside because he, to me, feels like the one guarantee in this entire scenario. He feels like the one pick that there's no questions that's going to be their cat. And let's move on to picks number 2 and 3. During that last segment, I said, look, Abdul Carter to number 3 at New York feels like a layup. It feels like a layup. Abdul Carter's not one of the 2 Colorado fellas are going to Cleveland. It's either Shedeur at 2 or it's Travis Hunter to 2. And when a texter says, Rob, most times the obvious pick is the correct pick. I agree with you. But we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. Hey, the Deshaun thing put aside. Because here's the reality. Whether you like it or you don't like it, they were not the only team that was in on Deshaun Watson. The Atlanta Falcons were in on Shedeur Sanders. My New Orleans Saints were in on Deshaun Watson. Why do I keep doing that? Deshaun Watson. There were I believe the Giants were in on Deshaun Watson. And granted, who knows if the Deshaun Watson story ends up differently if he ends up with another franchise. At the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns history with quarterbacks is lengthy, not storied, not successful, but lengthy. I've told you this before, but back when I was and this was a handful of years ago, back when I was in Florida, I had a buddy named Kellen, big Browns guy. And in my garage, I had a beer fridge. And on the side of that beer fridge one day, he put a big piece of duct tape. And he started writing down the names of all of the starting quarterbacks of the Browns over the X amount of years. And that length of duct tape, this was like 2015, 16. That length of duct tape got to be the point that it was like 3/4 of my fridge. And he said, Rob Brown, I'm going to keep coming over here and writing names on the Cleveland Browns duct tape of shame until we get a guy. And while we obviously have gone our separate ways, when Deshaun got drafted or got traded to Cleveland, he wrote me and he's like, this is gross. I don't like it, but I guess if I'm not going to like it, at least we've gotten to the point where I wouldn't have to come write names on duct tape anymore. Turns out, that was incorrect. So, Deshaun shows up. It goes very sideways. They need a quarterback now. Travis Hunter's not a quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is. There is only one possible surprise here. And that one possible surprise is Cleveland takes Jackson Dart at number 2. But there is absolutely nothing so far to indicate that is a possibility. People aren't even doing that thing where you get like one beat reporter who speculates it and then it becomes the smoke in the wind. And everybody starts going, oh, it's a possibility on the table. It's being talked about on the table. It's not. Then there's the Giants. And again, I said Abdul Carter's the guy. My man Chris Lewis, president of the Greenville Triumph, sent me a text during the break, not to out him, but he said, Dex, Burns, Kayvon, and then Carter. That gets even my exhausted, beaten down Giants fans ass excited. To which I said, I don't disagree. That's a disgusting front seven that would scare the feces out of every quarterback in the league. So, congratulations on Shedeur. To which he texted back, exactly, eye roll emoji. I'm so up in the air about that. The obvious pick is often the correct pick. I don't disagree. But when it comes to New York and Cleveland, I'm asking questions with the benefit of hindsight being 2020, which obviously it is. Wasn't the obvious pick, correct me if I'm wrong here, great one, wasn't the obvious pick for the Giants just pay the running back? You know, that guy, Saquon Barkley, who went on to help win the Philadelphia Eagles a Super Bowl champion. You know, that guy who had a historic year. You know, that guy who didn't set records last year only because he sat on the bench and told his head coach, no, let the young guys get theirs. I got mine. I'm good. We know what I am. Let the young guys get some XP, because if something goes sideways and you need them, they need game experience too. Otherwise, he would have had every record this year. He'd have had single season rushing record. He'd have had single game rushing record. He would have had every career number. He would have had probably most touchdowns. He'd have had probably most 20-plus yard carries. He'd have had all of them. But in multiple games, he sat himself down so the young guys could eat a little bit. And here's the best part. At no point did any of us come in here and go, oh, he doesn't want it. He ain't a competitor. He ain't thirsty. He ain't hungry. He's not trying to eat. Which for a lot of running backs, we would have. We'd have rightly criticized him for yanking himself. Not Saquon. Saquon, we went, yeah, of course he's not. Of course he's not a competitor. My man has 200 yards this game. Of course he's got himself a breather. Of course he's earned himself an opportunity to sit. That's Shedeur Sanders. Was the obvious thing, and again, hindsight's 2020, but I believe at the time when Saquon got let walk and he ended up with Philly, did I not on this microphone, on this show, in this time slot say, hey, the Giants are going to regret that, because this kid is one of the few running backs that is worth paying. He is that good. He is worth paying. There's not a lot of them. I think we probably overinflate how many there are. But he is one of the few, the proud. One of the running backs that's worth the paycheck. The obvious thing was to pay Saquon Barkley. The obvious thing was to pay Saquon Barkley. Doing the obvious thing, first off, let's be clear, doing the obvious thing is not always the right thing. Obvious and correct are not always correlated. Most of the time they are. Most time the obvious thing is the right thing. Not always. In that case, the obvious thing was the right thing, and the right thing was the obvious thing. The Giants did not the obvious thing nor the right thing. So for me to sit here and say, with Joe Schoen in charge of the New York Football Giants, for me to sit here and say that the Cleveland Browns under Andrew Berry are just going to do the right thing, which is the obvious thing, is not it for me. Which is why the top three picks are, well, the second and third picks are wildly compelling to me. With the second and third picks being absolutely in flux the way that they are, guess what that makes picks 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8? The exact same thing. Because what if Abdul Carter falls? You like to think the Patriots are going offensive line. If Abdul Carter comes off the board at 2 or 3, the Patriots are going offensive line. But if they don't, even though they need offensive line, can they pass on Abdul Carter, a guy who absolutely should not fall to 4? I don't know. What if they pass on Abdul Carter? Now all of a sudden you start looking at 5. There's Jacksonville. They need a defensive lineman. But at the same time, could they get a treasure trove of picks from teams that wouldn't pass on Abdul Carter and might be willing to fork over a ton of capital to go get him? And what does that do to Jacksonville? What's that do to Carolina at 8? This draft is wild. All right, we got some more comments on the stream, on the thread, and in the text line. We'll address those and more. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. They had to pay Danny Dimes. Yes, they did. All right, guys, give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Except for it makes you take too long of a nap.
Yep. I was Saturday, got done with the show. The wife and the in-laws took the niece to the zoo. And they weren't coming back for a couple of hours. So I opened up, which I haven't done in years, I opened up the shades on the windows in the bro cave to let some sunlight in because the dogs weren't there with me. And they love the sun. And I forgot how much sunlight comes into that room. Pal, I climbed onto the couch with that sun beaming on it, and I was out. Of course, knowing what I know now, it makes sense. But
Yeah.
So we talked a bunch about the Giants. We talked a bunch about the Browns. What does all of that do to and for the Carolina Panthers? Because I got to be honest, I've yet to make it to 8 in the mock draft. I have made it to 4. This has been the most conflicted I've been about a mock in a long time. Because on one hand, I will say this, there is a part of me for some reason or the next. There's kind of a part of me that in a weird way is pulling for Shedeur Sanders because he strikes me as one of these cats. Like, yeah, he definitely has a little bit of edge to him, a little bit of cockiness, if you will. The line between cocky and confident is often determined by how much Riz
It's Riz, baby. We got Riz.
you got, right? Like the line between cocky and confident is a very, very gray one. I point to guys like Conor McGregor. There's a lot of people who love Conor McGregor because he's got that edge to him, and a lot of people who hate him, me, because he doesn't just cross that line, he pole vaults over it. The line between the two is very thin. And I can't really blame Shedeur Sanders for having all that much of an edge to him when he is the son of Deion Sanders, a guy who had all that edge to him, and yet we loved him as a player. Loved him as a guy. How much? In the Fortress of Nerditude, which Lonzo and I share, there are 3 autographs hanging on the wall. Of all my sports autographs, and I got a few because I, as a kid, I don't anymore as an adult, but as a kid, I lived for autographs, lived for them. I got a handful. Some I'm very proud of. Steve Garvey is at the house. Greg Maddux is at the house. I got a bunch. There are 3 that hang on the wall in there. One of them is Ken Griffey Jr., my favorite baseball player of all time. One of them is Archie Manning, my favorite quarterback of all time. And one of them is Deion Sanders. And not only do I have a Deion Sanders autograph hanging on the wall, because I was, as just about everyone my age was, a big Neon Deion fan. Not only do I have a Deion Sanders autograph hanging on the wall, I have a Dallas Cowboys photo of Deion Sanders autographed by Deion Sanders hanging on the wall. You understand the level of love I have to have for you to hang one piece of Dallas Cowboy paraphernalia on the wall in the Fortress of Nerditude? I love Deion Sanders. And part of the reason we love Deion was because he was a massive trash talker, but he backed it up. He was super cocky, but he was cocky because you couldn't stop him. He could score a tutty in the daytime and hit a dinger at night. That was Deion Sanders. So it doesn't shock me that Shedeur Sanders has a little bit of swagger to him. And the more I watch, the more I see people dinging him for that. To the point that we're making a huge deal out of Shedeur pats the football when he drops back to pass. When he's going to pass, it's a pat. When he's not going to pass, he doesn't pat. But when he's going to pass, pat. And that became like a huge story for like 2 days. And I sincerely racked my brain. I'm like, has any other college quarterback taken that much heat for that? I'm not talking about mechanics. I'm talking about that little of a thing, right? Tim Tebow took a bunch of crap because of his throwing motion. That, to me, valid and justified. Said that coming into the league. The problem you have with Tebow was on the throw. The hand drops all the way down to the hip and comes all the way over the top. That's too long of a throwing motion. You got to get the arm back, get the ball at helmet level, fire that thing out of there. And if you can't do that with speed and force behind it, you can't quarterback at the next level. That's just how it is. Sorry. That's just how it works. Kenny Pickett got busted up about what? He has small hands. That's fair and valid. I got to have a quarterback with ball security. I got to know that if you get rocked by Abdul Carter and you got one hand on the ball in the throwing motion, I can trust you to tuck rule that thing down into the breadbasket and hang on. And don't drop the ball when you're going for the ride. That's a legitimate thing. Shedeur patting the ball is not a break for me in the make or break scale. It's not a break for me. If it genuinely is a tell for Shedeur Sanders, number one, as I've said before, Drew Brees patted the ball. Tom Brady patted the ball. That's a relatively common thing. And if the argument is that Shedeur Sanders pats the ball and that's his tell that it's going to be a throw, or that it's the next reads the throw, right? If it's look, pat, throw. If it's look, pat, throw. Or if it's look, pat, throw. Then yeah, guess what I can do? I can coach that out of him. In fact, I don't even guess it's that complicated. If I'm the quarterback's coach, every time I see Shedeur in the hallway, I'm underhand spiraling the football, and I'm teaching him. Every time the ball hits your hands, pat. Every time you touch a football, pat. I don't care if it's the middle of the day, you're in your lunch break, you take a bite of your ham Sammy, you put it back on the tray. I'm spinning you a football, pat, pat. Every time. I want to ingrain it into you as second nature, pat, pat. Every time. Or I coach the pat, pat out. Now, again, there's a reason quarterbacks pat, pat. We've talked about this. Quarterback, pat, pat. I don't know how many times I'm going to say pat, pat. At least one more. Every time the ball hits your hand, pat, pat. And I want that. Quarterback's going to pat, pat. And they're going to pat, pat because what? They use the offhand to make sure they've got as much friction on the football as they can get with their throwing hand. I want that thing tucked into that hand as securely as possible. Why? The more contact, the more pressure there is on the ball, the more when that hand comes out and that wrist snaps, they can get that ball end over end, creating that nice tight spiral. Pat, 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 pat. Second nature. Every time you touch a ball, I am waking Shedeur up. The alarm goes off at 5:15 in the morning for Cam. As soon as he opens his eyes, I'm putting a football in the hands. Pat, pat. You start your day with a pat, pat. You end your day with a pat, pat. The middle of your day, pat, pat. Lunch break, pat, pat. Nap time, pat, pat. When you go to sleep, pat, pat. When you wake up, pat, 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 pat. That's what I'm going. I can coach that out of him. If that's the biggest complaint you got, I can work with that. And so in a weird way, I'm kind of pulling for Shedeur. I'm especially pulling for Shedeur when I'm watching big name mocks drop him out of the first round. But put all that aside. How does all of this impact the Panthers? The answer is, I don't know. I don't know. Because everything I think can happen with Cleveland 2 or 3 spirals off to 4 or 5 options for the Giants. And everything the Giants do spirals off into a handful of others. Again, if Abdul Carter comes off the board 3 at New York, then I think New England's going Will Campbell, the tackle out of LSU, at 4. If they don't, if they go Shedeur, then Will Campbell's off the board. So what does Jacksonville do? Is it Armand Membo out of Tennessee? Do they decide that they want to be the first team with a defensive end? Do they end up going to get the kid out of Michigan? Mason Graham? I honestly, I got Mason Graham graded out at around the middle of the first round pick. I think he's very good, but I don't know if 4 is too high to New England. I don't know if he drops off to 5 at Jacksonville. Jacksonville needs a running back. Could they go with Ashton Janty at 5 and pair him up and create that backfield of doom between him and Etienne behind Trevor Lawrence? Do they say, no, we trust that Etienne's going to be just fine, skip on Janty? And if so, did they go with an offensive lineman? My answer would be yeah. To me, Jacksonville's got to go offensive lineman. But what if they don't? What if they end up going with Tyler Warren, the tight end? Let's give Trevor Lawrence one more tool, right? It's a make or break year for TL16. Regardless of how we feel about the outcome, I think Zoe and I both agree this is TL16's make or break year as a quarterback, right? If he doesn't get it done this year, regardless of coaches, staff, personnel, whatever, if TL16 doesn't look like a franchise quarterback this year, they move on.
Yeah, they definitely move on. It doesn't mean he won't get a shot somewhere else and maybe redeem himself, but I don't know.
And it is, look, it's possible that he has his Baker Mayfield moment where he gets out of there, he goes somewhere else, he goes on, he has a hell of a season, and we all go, maybe it was the Jags. As I've said many times, sometimes it's the franchise, not the quarterback. But it's his make or break year in Jacksonville to prove it's correct. So do they go offensive line? The point here is this. I think we could sit here and speculate all day about what happens with Carolina. But I'm going to tell you, on one hand, I love everything Dan Morgan has led up to this draft with. I like the conversation. I like the smoke screens. I like the way he's set up for different pieces and different picks. I like the way he's opened up the roster. I like the way he said BPA can draft with need, but still BPA. I like everything Dan Morgan's done in the lead up to this draft, and I do not envy him. Because I think Dan Morgan probably has a playbook with 50 contingency plans in place right now. I think Dan Morgan has a playbook with the flow chart of if A, then B, if B, then C, if C, then D. A playbook of them. Because there's 90 possible combinations that lead up to Carolina at 8. My gut is it's Jalen Walker unless for some reason Abdul Carter falls to 8. He's not going to. I've seen a lot of mocks with them getting Tyler Warren out of Penn State. I don't need him. You got plenty of tight ends in the roster right now. I've seen a couple where they go with Ted McMillan out of Arizona State. I'd love a wide receiver. I don't think that's the guy. I think Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia, is a spot. Put him upside with Derek Brown, and let's start to build a defensive front seven in the Dan Morgan mentality. But the reality is there's 95 potential different ways that the first 3 picks could go. That could change everything Carolina has planned to date. All right, let's get away from draft talk. Let's talk some NBA when we come back. Playoffs underway, some interesting series playing out. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. Thank you for putting some respect on Kenny Pickett's Super Bowl champion's name, James. Well done. Well done. Do you think Clemson football can make a deep run? AJ Reigns, which is a hell of a wrestling name. AJ Reigns. That's a great wrestling name. AJ Reigns. I am going to say, let's let the transfer window close first, right? I heard, who was it? Was it? I don't remember. Some college football guy this weekend.
That one person said
that one guy.
Thing.
That one guy that I listened to the other day said the one thing that they not dislike, but like not for a good reason. The one thing they dislike about the portal isn't the players moving, isn't the NIL ceiling, isn't any of that. They said the one thing is it's a waste of time trying to prognosticate any football consequences after spring games anymore, right? Spring games are over and in the books, with the exceptions of small schools. Spring games are over in the book, and we still have play. Tennessee just got a new quarterback yesterday. Their spring game was last Saturday. They just got a new quarterback. UCLA just got a new quarterback, new QB1. How can we project any of that right now? The answer is, frankly, we can't. We can't. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I can give you some base thoughts. I think there's obviously an increased importance this year on finding consistency at the wide receiver core. I think I need to, as good and reliable as it was last year, I need more action across the defensive front seven for Clemson this year. I think it's a big year. I think the last couple of years are, but I think it's a big year for Dabo Swinney in terms of maintaining that the Dabo way still works. I think it's fine. All of that being said, let's let the window close. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the next big mark on the calendar is let the transfer window close, and then let's talk. Or am I just making excuses to be lazy? Said nobody ever.
Minute and a half. Sorry, I have a migraine. I much prefer to not have one. Watch me writhe in pain. Not taking a nap. I have a migraine. If my eyes close, it's because my brain's about to explode. I think I may have arthritis in my skull.
Arthritis of the brain.
As I said earlier, if headaches are more extreme, the bigger your head is, you guys cannot contain the pain that I have.
I don't know if that's how that works, but
I don't know that it doesn't. Though.
I was going to say, I can't say that it doesn't.
I think it just makes sense that, if you have more head, you have more head to hurt. I'm just saying. As in skull. I mean,
Welcome back, Kawhi Leonard. Why not? 39 points. The Clips get the Nugs last night, 105-102. That series is tied up 1-1. Let's go with the NBA playoff bracket here for just a second. The Thunder and the Grizz. Oklahoma City leads Memphis in a series that was, honestly, it was, to me, the least contentious coming into the series. Like this was a no-doubter. I think Miami might give Cleveland a game or two. Like I think we're probably talking gentleman's sweep over there. Maybe Miami can steal a second somewhere with like a real big Tyler Hero game. I don't think the Grizzlies are winning a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That first game was one of the ugliest I've seen in a very long time. Memphis gets shellacked 131-80. I'm not a big math guy, but that I believe, easy math, 80. So you add 20 to get to 100, and then you add the 31. That's a 51-point shellacking. I don't know what to say about that series other than it's going to get real ugly real quick. All 5 Memphis starters had double digits, and Aaron Wiggins off the bench had 21. For the Grizz, Ja had 17. No, in an NBA game, nobody else got to double digits. It's as bad as it gets. I don't really think we need to spend a ton of time on that series. I think the Thunder are sweeping that one, and it's not going to be close. How about the T-Wolves getting one over on the Lakers? This one is interesting. 117-95 in game one.
It was kind of a beatdown.
It was kind of a beatdown. And keep in mind, I'm a believer in the current Lakers, not the future Lakers with Luka. I'm a believer in the current Lakers. I got a bet slip out on the Lakers making the Western Conference Finals, but they got work to do now. And what's interesting about this game, LeBron had 19. They were minus 22 with LeBron on the floor. Plus minus stat is my most important stat in the NBA that nobody really pays attention to. The plus minus stat, which is, of course, cumulative points while you are on the floor as an individual. Everybody has their own plus minus stat. What was the difference in the teams when you were on the floor? And your plus minus and what I'm looking for out of your plus minus is going to be determined largely by your role on the team. For a bench player, I just want a plus minus that's around 0, right? If you are a bench player, I would love a plus minus. I'll take a 0. Out of my starters, I got to have it at least be plus. Unless it's just one of those nights. Here's the problem. That doesn't feel like it was an anomaly of a night to me, right? Like that doesn't feel like you look at that game and you go, oh, the Lakers had an off night. Luka had 37 on 12 of 22. LeBron had 19. Austin Reeves had 16. It didn't feel like a plus-minus night. You know what it felt like to me? It felt like the number one concern that I had about this Lakers team, which is they made the move to go get the big guy out of Charlotte. The move fell apart after the trade was nixed due to failed physicals, whatever. In that moment, I went, the Lakers still got to find a big man because if they don't find a big man, they're going to be in trouble. They got themselves into trouble. Jackson Hayes was 0 for 2 from the floor. He was 1 of 2 from the stripe for his only point. Here's the most important number. Of the 5 starters for the Lakers, Hachimura had 5 boards. LeBron had 5 boards. Luka had 8 boards. Austin Reeves had 3 boards. Jackson Hayes had 3 rebounds. Jackson Hayes, my starting center, a 7-foot-tall, 220-pounder. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of cheeks to him. All right. He ain't a big boy, but he's 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. Had 3 rebounds in this game. I'm not asking you to do anything special here. He had 3 rebounds. Rudy Gobert is a good defensive player. He's got 1 inch and 28 pounds on Jackson Hayes. Hey, he's bigger. He's thicker with 2 C's than Jackson Hayes. But let's not pretend Rudy Gobert is some monster in the middle. He's a great defensive big man. He is not an incredible rebounder. Like, he's a good enough rebounder. Rudy Gobert is not known for his rebounding prowess. He did average 11 boards a game, but he was, especially in this game, he wasn't cleaning the glass. Rudy Gobert had 6 boards. He's a good rebounder, not a great rebounder. Just to be clear, Jaden McDaniels, a 6'9" power forward, had more boards than Rudy Gobert and Jackson Hayes. This was very simple to me. LA, if they are undone, and again, my thought was Luka playing the 1, LeBron playing his natural position of a 3-4 hybrid, they can cover up no big man. But with Rudy Gobert playing defense, they have to be exceptional from the outside. They shot less than 40% from the floor. If the Lakers are going to win this series, they got to shoot 45% from the floor. If they are going to have Jackson Hayes give me 8 minutes, go 0 of 2, and score a single point, I've got to have somebody else that's going to step up and get, like, you've got to give me something else. There is one more piece I'd really like to see. And I knew the minutes were going to come down because he plays a less experienced, less talented version of Luka Doncic. What happened to Dalton Connect? What happened to Dalton? Why have we erased Dalton Connect from this lineup? My guy played 3 minutes in this game. My dude had, respectfully, of course. Why is Dalton Connect getting the same number of minutes as Bronny James? When he has clearly shown he's a better player. I understand he plays Luka's position. But why is Dalton Connect getting 3 minutes in this game? And Bronny James is getting those same 3 minutes. Why is Jordan Goodwin getting 9 minutes in this game when Dalton Connect's getting 3 minutes in the game? Is there something wrong with Dalton Connect that I'm unaware of?
There's a reason why they were trading him.
I mean, I guess. Well, yes. The reason they were trading him was because they found their 7-footer in the middle who was more consistent than Jackson Hayes. And that is, as much as I love Dalton Connect. I feel about Dalton Connect the way that you felt about Austin Reeves coming into this year. I love this kid. I think this kid has everything needed to be a stud. But the Lakers' one big kryptonite was they don't have a 5. They just don't have it. Jackson Hayes can have flashes of greatness, but he is not a good 5, or at least not consistently enough to consider him a piece that can win you a chip. As much as I love Dalton Connect, I am willing to give up Dalton Connect if it gave me a 7-foot reliable 5, or at least a 7-footer that I can pair in tandem with Jackson and believe I'm getting a good 1-2 punch where there's never a spot where I don't have at least a moderate player on the court.
I looked it up because I was curious. Dalton Connect averaged 19.2 minutes per game during the regular season.
Uh-huh. He got 3. They lost 117-95.
Well, this is one game. I mean, so the next game, and they were getting their butts beat the entire game. So it wasn't like it was that competitive.
I, again, don't disagree. But they were up. Okay, let's start with this. They were up 7 at the end of the first quarter. They were down 9 at the half. An NBA game, down 9 at the half is far from over, right?
It's 3 shots,
Yeah. Now, they got away from it a little bit. They were down, I think, 14 at the end of the third. Even still, down 14 at the start of the fourth quarter ain't over.
What kind of defense does Dalton Connect play?
Good but hustle monster. He's giving you 3 or 4 steals. Just because I'm curious, let's check his regular season averages. I'm curious. 2004, 2005 regular season stats. 9.1 points per game.
24-25.
Oh, sorry, 24-25. What did I say? 23-24?
No, you said 4 and 5, which I'm not sure. I don't think he's
24-25.
Yeah.
Let's see here. He was born in 2001.
All right. So he was, I mean, you might have had decent averages then. Yeah.
Maybe I will start that just for menning the beard. What do you think?
You think it's going to help other stuff if you do that? I don't know.
It's right there. I don't know. Did you see George Clooney showing up on social media this weekend? My dude, George Clooney went the just for all the men treatment. Dude showed up with the haircut and color of a 22-year-old. I mean, it was black. They brought him on set. It's for a role he's doing, but he was on one of the talk shows, and they're like it was so obvious. One of the talk shows awkwardly was like, "Can we talk about your hair?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, I hate it. I look dumb." They were like, "No, you look great, George." He's like, "No, I look like an idiot." And he was right. It looked bad. Remember when Cena showed up for a hot minute with the full hair job? It was like that.
Well, he just just said on McAfee that he got hair plugs. So, I mean, I gotta believe him.
Hey, own it, man. You're in Hollywood now. Dalton Connect in the regular season was giving you about a steal a game. About a steal a game on defense. Not great, not unimpressive. 0.8 steals per game, so about a steal a game. In 9+ minutes, he got 3. Again, I'm probably making a big deal out of like the 5th most important big deal here. But here's the kicker, and it is real simple. This is the part where the number one concern I had for LA, which is what do you do when you don't have a big man came into play? They don't have a big man. They got their butt kicked in the paint. They lost the game. Every now and then, you look at one of these games, and I was watching the inside the NBA as I'm enjoying my last little fix before they go bye-bye. I was watching all the social media analysts after this game was over. Or did we overestimate the Lakers? Not really. Not really. Here's the reality. Luka can be Luka. Braun can be Braun. If you get your butt whooped in the paint, you get your butt whooped in the paint. Now my question is, how do you play around Rudy Gobert? Gobert.
And if I recall, Minnesota was killing it on the 3-point.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that they're going to be shooting 40% from range. You damn sure better make sure you're out rebounding them, right? Like you cannot lose the rebounding battle. So if I got a 7-footer in the middle who's giving me 3 rebounds, that ain't it, Chief. That's not going to do it. You have got to out rebound them if they're shooting that well. Rockets Warriors, the Golden State Dubs are up 1. And once again, no surprise to anybody at all. It's because Jimmy playoff bleeping buckets. It really is that simple. Y'all thought I was overplaying my hand when I went in and said, I like Houston. I like Jalen Green. I like this young team they built. I like Amen Thompson. The only thing I don't like is Dylan Brooks. Emphasis on the D and the B in his name. I like Sengun. I don't even hate Fred VanVleet as much crap as hating ass Mario gives them. I like the Rockets. Playoff Jimmy's a different breed of cat. 25 points, 10 of 19. More importantly, Steph Curry was once again hitting video game shots. It's real simple. The one thing that Golden State did not have in the regular season, and I called this out, and I called it out the minute Jimmy Butler got to this team. Do you know what Jimmy Buckets does for this? This is why I do not care what you say. Jimmy Buckets was the trade line win in the NBA. Why? Because Jimmy Butler opens the floor for Steph Curry to be Steph Curry. And when Steph is hitting knockback timeline shots, when you are locking Steph Curry down, and the only player in the NBA that I am okay with taking a fadeaway, out of bounds, one-handed, off-balance look at the 3, and he is knocking them down. When dude is giving me 15 points in 3s and 4 of them are video game shots that no other player in the league should even think about taking, it is because Jimmy Butler opened up the floor. That's why I have Golden State winning this series. They are up 1-0 on Houston. And again, I like the Rockets in the direction they're heading in. They may be the model of how to build a team around a couple of very good young players. But the Dubs are the Dubs, and the Dubs with Jimmy Buckets being playoff Jimmy is untouchable. It just is. Pacers up 1-0 on the Bucks. We'll evaluate that series further. Knicks Pistons might be the most fun series in the NBA. I don't think the Celtics Magic are going to be a series. I think that's a gentleman's sweep at the best. Again, I like Orlando. Same with Houston. Good team.
I found myself rooting for the Knicks because someone has become such a big Detroit fan, and I just can't root for anything that someone is just going nuts on social media about.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a snappy salute to Colonel Grudge. This Knicks Pistons series, you know what it feels like to me? It feels very old school rivalry. This feels Bad Boys versus the throwback Knicks. Two teams that are just beating the dog snot out of each other and ain't going to stop. There is not going to be a game with bigger than a 2-point spread in this entire series, I don't think. Pistons get the first one, 123-112. Knicks get it back. Knicks get the Pistons. Knicks get the first one, 123-112. Pistons get it back, 194 in game number 2. The name I said over and over and over and over and over and over coming into these playoffs was Cade Cunningham. 11 of 21, 33 points in the win. Jalen Brunson is a dog. I need better out of Cat. Karl Anthony Towns, who has got the narrative of not a playoff player. Cat's got to step it up. 10 points ain't it. 10 points ain't in when you've got the opportunity against the team that has a mediocre paint game. I need more from the big cat. That's not going to get it for me. This series could be fun, though. All right, we'll talk some more later. NBA later on. I got some NHL playoff updates. Still got it back to the Braves. 4-game win streak. Can they uphold it tonight against the St. Louis Cardinals and take 2 out of the 3? We'll talk about that, but not give you any details about it at all because that's what Lonzo's going to do in his Sports Flash.
Switch the stories up because you just did it, and then the one I'm going to start with, you do that. Why?
No
I mean,
stats.
I get you're supposed to tease,
numbers.
but still, it's 4 wins in a row. In case you didn't know, for the Atlanta Braves, fresh off of sweeping a 3-gamer over Minnesota. The Braves bested the Cardinals last night, 7-6. The Braves had 8 hits, including the 2-run shot from Austin Riley and a 3-run homer from Sean Murphy. Game 2 is tonight at 7:15. The Clippers and Nuggets are tied at a game apiece after a 105-102 LA win last night. Kawhi Leonard had 39 on 15 of 19 shooting. And 4 or 5 Clippers starters had double digits. Nikola Jokic had 26, 12, and 10 for a triple-double in the loss. Game 3 is Thursday night. 4 NHL playoff games took place last night. Capitals took a 1-0 series lead with a 3-2 win over the Canadiens. The Jets beat the Blues 2-1. Stars over Colorado 1-1. Yay, I don't really have to read anymore. Woo. And I can't go home early because I have to work elsewhere in the building. Yay.
These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. At accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start May 14th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Hi, this is Diesel.
And this is Cole Bryson from Wire to Wire.
We'll be live tomorrow from 3 till 7 at Ingles Markets, 10903 Anderson Road in Powdersville. Be there live for your chance to win an Ingles gift card in store.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at repairclinic.com. If you need a world-class website or a technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
When it comes to the best sports talk anywhere, listen to the Fan on Odyssey no matter where you are, in the car, at home, at work. Follow the free Odyssey app.
I never stop believing, James. If you say you still believe, that almost makes it sound like you stopped believing at some point. So why would Victor Wembanyama be looking at a two-seater as if he could fit in the car? This is so ridiculous. I mean, he's sitting sideways in it. It's only got two seats in it, dude. You're not getting your legs in there.
Like me trying to get into that NASCAR.
It looks like a Miata or something. I mean, it's very, very.
I told the story of Mike Doe, the 7-footer I played high school ball with. That dude wanted so bad to drive a Nissan Z, which are it's like their little street version of a race car. He wanted so bad that at one point his senior year of high school was looking at seeing if he could customize one to have the driver's seat taken out so he could drive it from the back.
Yeah, that happens a lot with those guys, but.
The fourth, the final, the money hour, the Rob Brown Show. Back on your radio, it is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE is the number. If you'd like to be a part of the radio program, you can text that number or you can call that number and get yourselves on the air. 844-FANFONE. You can tweet the great one at Lonzo Onward. You can tweet me at the Rob Brown Show because I am a creative and marketing genius at the Rob Brown Show. That is all my social media handles at Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever, at the Rob Brown Show. And of course, don't forget, join us on our live stream by going to the Fan Upstate on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter, or going to the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch. All of those destinations have the show live and in living color for 4 hours each and every day that we're here. Sorry about missing yesterday. I was actually deceased. I was dead. But I have come back to be with you today because I I realize with the connotation of it being what it was yesterday, that's worse than it sounds. That joke would have flown better in July.
Yeah, it would have. I know I gave you a look. I was trying not to say anything.
Better joke to make in July than it was yesterday. Suffice to say, I felt real bad yesterday. I was talking to Captain America, Chris Evans, down the hall during the break there. And I told him that on Sunday morning, I woke up. The wife got up to get ready. She was going to spend Easter Sunday with the family, which I 100% would accompany her for. I love the in-laws, or I guess my in-laws. I am theirs. I love them. I like spending time with them. I woke up on Sunday. I had sweated it so much overnight that there was a CSI-style body outline where I laid the night before. It was gross. I was a gross person this weekend. Suffice to say, woke up, tapped the play like a champion today sign, and let's get to work. We got 60 minutes left. We have talked some NBA. We have talked some NHL. We have not talked some NHL. We will talk some NHL. We have talked a bunch of NFL drafts, and we will. It is NFL Christmas week here on the show. So we'll get back into the NFL draft later on this week. There's a lot going on. But let's talk a little bit about our Atlanta Braves. Now we're gonna talk all the baseball, especially as we delve past the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and the NFL draft. There will be a point in time in about a month and a half from now, where you all pine for the days where we had NBA, NHL playoffs, and NFL playoffs, because we will have baseball exclusively, and we will talk a lot of baseball on this radio broadcast. But until that day, we will focus in on what you, the people, have asked for. Because if there is one thing that Lonzo and I can both say, he's a man of the people. We are indeed mans of the people. So let's talk about this. The Atlanta Braves have won 4 games in a row. I would love to come in here and say, hey, good things, right? Good things. This is what you all told me to chill the bleep out for, right? Just hang on, Rob. Give the Bravos an opportunity to get rolling. Give them a chance. Maybe they're just having their annual midseason slump out of the gate. And once they shake it off, and get it all out of their system, they'll be just fine. Maybe. As I pointed out a couple of times, I don't care if it's only 1/10 of the season, Rob. I don't care if it's only 1/9 of this, whatever the math is. I don't know. I don't care. At the end of the day, in order for the Braves to make good on it, not only do they have to be a lot better than that for the next 20 games, and the 20 games after that, 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 repeat ad nauseum until we get to 162 regular season games. But they also have to have the Phillies and the Mets, the other 2 teams in contention for their division. They also have to hope that those teams have a stretch as poor as the Atlanta Braves opening 20-game stretch. And the reality is, you can't count on that. So either you got to have the Mets and the Phillies have equal 20-game stretches that are in the toilet, or you have got to outperform them by that much during other 20-game stretches. And the reality is, mathematically, statistically, improbable. Not impossible, but improbable. But I've also pointed out over the last 20 whatever games that the problems run deeper than just the win-loss record for the Atlanta Braves. There are other issues at play here. One of those issues is no relief pitching and very little closing pitching to be spoken of. It was one of the things that I begged the Braves to address in the offseason, and by and large, they failed to do so. Hey, starting pitching, probably okay, right? Probably okay. Now, we do get to contend with the fact that Spencer Strider made his return from injury, made 1 start, and is now back on the 15-day DL, which is effectively 2, maybe 3 starts. The report was flying around yesterday that Spencer Strider is on the 15 DL due to a strain, not pulled, not ruptured, not torn, strained hamstring. Now, a strained hammy can happen to the best of us. Spencer Strider reportedly strained his hammy playing catch. Playing catch. You know that thing that we do is like warm up. You know that thing that if I haven't played baseball in 10 or 12 years, and me and a buddy of mine are out in public and we happen across 2 baseball gloves and a baseball, it's just what you do. What else do you do? If you can't play baseball, you can always go outside and have a catch. Spencer Strider pulled his hammy having a catch. Now, this isn't like an indictment on Spencer Strider. This isn't an indictment on the Atlanta Braves, right? With a lot of teams, I don't know, my New Orleans Pelicans, for instance, with a rash of injuries, I would immediately go, the hell's up with his training staff? That's a problem. That's not good. That's not ideal. This can't be the thing. We got to make a change here. I'm not doing that here. At the end of the day, pulled hammies happen, man. They're unfortunate, but they're a reality of athletics. It happens to the best of us. It's more along the lines of Existential crisis Braves fan Rob Brown goes, sure, why not? Spencer comes back, provides you, 5 innings of 2-hit ball or 3-hit, 2-run ball. Fine. First pitch he's thrown in over a year in a competitive setting. He gives you a game good enough to win. Granted, you lost it because nobody can hit the freaking baseball, but he gave you a good enough outing that you go, okay, we can rely on that guy. One start, immediately back to the DL with a pulled hammy, which also means that 15 days, going to miss 2 starts, maybe 3. Also going to need probably a little bit of rehab time to get him being back to in starting condition, whatever. It's not really like something I have a take on other than, sure, it's just the Braves. It's just the Barvs. That's just what they are this year. But we can put that aside for a minute. Let's talk about the other albatross right now. And this feels like such an ungrateful twerp of a take to have. Because nary but 4 years ago, Brian Snitker managed this team to a World Series championship. We were able to say Los Campeones for a year. And Snitker was the guy that brought you there. Now, a lot of it goes to Alex Anthopoulos, who, as far as I was concerned, earned the GM of the Decade tag with the moves that he made, bringing in some vets for the run, going out, finding some mercenaries, and constructing a roster good enough to win a World Series. It was amazing. Super duper fun. Loved it. But regardless of who we give the credit to, at the end of the day, Brian Snitker was the manager of that team. So it feels odd just 4 seasons later to go, Snitker might be a part of the issue here. And there was a weird scenario that took place over the weekend that came into play that I think shined a bit of a light on that. Now, it's something I've been complaining about really dating back to last year. Because as I said before, I'm not saying that I need Aaron Boone out there every day. I'm not saying I need a guy out there who is like over dramatic and demonstrative and kicking dirt over home plate and picking up the resin bag and tossing it like a grenade or anything like that. I don't need any of that. What I'm saying is I would like a manager who looks like he's, I don't know, tuned into the game, just like involved, right? Now, there have been a couple of games this season that I've had to give Snick credit. There was a game not too long ago where he made a pinch hit decision. He had Kelenic, who had a couple of hits in the game, going up for his third at bat, made the decision to pinch hit, brought up Eli White. Why? Create a different matchup, lefty on lefty, the right matchup there. That was a move that a lot of people in the moment were like, is this really the move you want to make? You're pulling a guy who's got 2 hits. Yeah, but he had 2 hits against the old pitcher. This is a new pitcher. Switch sides of the plate. Went lefty. Yeah, you want to bring up the lefty on lefty matchup if you're not giving anything up on the field defensively that might bite you in the bootay. And he didn't. Eli White came in, got a hit, inning extended, Braves win the game. That's a good managerial move. And it is one that I applaud Snit for having made. Looks like he was tuned into the game. But then there's a lot of other ones where it's like, feels like we're banging our heads against the wall here. It's just the same moves, playing the same guys in the same places. Nobody moving up the lineup, nobody moving down the lineup. Feels like we got the same rotation. And even though things are going sideways, not great. Well, Braves are on a 4-game win streak. Sweep the Twins, good. That's a mid-team. You get one back against St. Louis last night, good. Mid-team, carry it. Let's go get 5 in a row. Let's build a streak here, whatever. However, there is a situation that is playing out here that is really interesting. In a game a couple of days ago, Jared Kelenic hit a long shot out to right center. A shot that when it came off the bat, it kind of felt like it was going yard. And Jared Kelenic thought that it was going yard. It did not go yard. It did not go yard, and what ended up happening was that Kelenic pimped a home run that wasn't a home run. Kelenic pimped a home run that would end up being a fly ball out. It was just not ideal. Lack of hustle, okay? And again, Rob Brown's not cliche guy. Rob Brown's not guy who leans in on, you gotta hustle out every play. Dad, like, let's be realist here. Some you pimp a home run, you pimp a home run. All right, it's baseball. Don't care. If you're down 7, like it is what it is, right? But Kelenic pimped a home run. It ended up not being a home run. It was just not good. Well, shortly after that, Ronald Acuna Jr., 2 seasons ago, the National League's most valuable player, a man with home runs and steals to boot. Guy was an absolute stud. Sent out a tweet that said, if that was me, I would have gotten benched. I don't know that I'm directly quoting it, but it's paraphrased pretty damn close. Sent out a tweet that said, if it was me, I'd have gotten benched. And he said that because that happened to him before. Now, granted, it was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, all the way back in 2019. Ronald Acuna Jr. failed to run out a fly ball. He thought it was a home run. It was not. He got sat down as a repercussion for the lack of hustle. Marcell Ozuna got sent to the bench for a similar misstep back in 2023. Pimped out a home run, wasn't a home run, got thrown out. He got sent to the bench. Jarred Kelenic pimped out a home run. It did not go out of the park. He did not get sat down. Now, I would make the argument that at the end of the day, Snit didn't really have too much of a choice. It's not exactly like, with Ronald Acuna still recovering from an ACL surgery, which hopefully he'll return sooner rather than later, there's not exactly a ton of depth on the bench. The problem you bump into is if you have developed this reputation of if you don't hustle, you sit, then that is not a standard that you set and then push off to the side in favor of, well, we don't have any guys to back him up. No. That's the spot. If you are going to be no hustle, get you benched guy, then it doesn't matter if I got to go call a guy up from AAA Gwinnett and say, hey, best outfielder on the Stripers, you get to come play big league ball because Kelenic's not running out long fly balls. That is the spot where you say, I do not care who you are. If I'm going to bench Ozuna, if I'm going to bench Ronnie, I'm damn sure going to bench Jarred Kelenic. And I'm going to bring up whoever I got left that I know will be a hustle monster. But he didn't do that. Not even that's the issue. Because Snit said at the time he benched Acuna, quote, he didn't run. You've got to run. It's not going to be acceptable here. As a teammate, you're responsible for 24 other guys. That name on the front is a lot more important than the name on the back. You can't do that. We're trying to accomplish and do something special here, and personal things have to be put on the back burner. You just can't let your team down like that. Fine. I'm honestly good with that. I'm good with the no hustle, no play. I'm good with that. I think it's a little cliche, but fine. I'm good with that. Except for then they went to the postgame presser. And they said, yo, why didn't you bench Kelenic? And Snit's response was, I didn't see it. You didn't see it. There's a camera angle from the outfield looking in at Kelenic as he's pimping this home run that wasn't a home run. And Snit is in his usual routine. Side of the bench, looking up at the ball. What do you mean you didn't see it? Like, what in the hell, man? I am a fan. I'm a fan. I saw it. From the same camera. I saw it. I'm like, go. Until that thing's over the fence. Go. Unless it's a no-doubter, a guaranteed no-doubter. Get your ass to second base. I saw it. A lot of managers, I go, yeah, it is what it is. Not a big deal. Kind of is what it is, right? But with this one, with a manager whose number one cliche right now is the dude is checked out. The dude is clearly just kind of half tuned in to say, yeah, was it really tuned in that spot? Not a great look, man. Not a great look. Is that the biggest concern the Braves had? It's hard to say no at this point. Let's take a break. Back after this. Rob Brown and Great Malonzo, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, quick live when we're coming back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, and you. All right, let's do. We're gonna scatter some WrestleMania topics throughout the week. Of course, we will do Fight Club with the great Malonzo on Thursday. Assuming he's still alive on Thursday. Yeah, he's fighting through it today. I appreciate it. Play like a champion today.
It's not the first time. I'll be all right.
Probably not the last time. Probably not the last time this week.
Probably not.
But he's fighting through it. And we appreciate that. So we'll do Fight Club like normal. But I do have to say one thing real quick. Now, I have to preface this entire conversation with the fact that, admittedly, Rob Brown has not watched Sunday's WrestleMania event yet. Rob Brown was on the deathbed, it felt like, on Sunday. Was not good. Slept through the entire night of WrestleMania, and yesterday was so behind that I was just trying to get caught up on life before I made my return to radio this morning. I didn't know yesterday that I was even going to make it in today, but the boss texted in the afternoon. He's like, "Are you back tomorrow?" And I felt bad asking people to pick up my slack from a sick day, so I'm like, "Yeah, screw it. I'll make it in one way or the other." All right. So I did not get a chance to catch night 2 yesterday. I will watch it today. By the time we return tomorrow morning, I will be fully caught up with WrestleMania night 2 and last night's Monday Night Raw, because from what I've heard, it was quite eventful. Of course, it should be. It's the most anticipated Raw of the year. However, I do want to address the John Cena, Cody Rhodes, I'm going to say, again, as somebody who has not watched it yet, debacle from Sunday night. Because I do have, as we in sports radio are allowed and sometimes encouraged to do, have a take on something I haven't even watched yet, so I will. Number 1, can we be done with the Travis Barker stuff? Can we just be done with the Travis Barker? And I'm not even really just talking about him. It just happens to be that he's the one in this spot. There is no doubt that there is not just room for, but there should be some amount.
All right, I got to do this. You said Travis Barker. It's Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. Sorry, that's a different Travis.
Yeah.
I approve of all things Travis Barker. Travis Scott, pardon me. There not just should be. There is room for celebrity crossover in the realm of professional wrestling. Of course there is. It is a pop culture phenomenon. But to me, and this might be one of those spots where I don't know if I become wrestling elitist or snob or whatever word. There should be room in wrestling for that pop culture cross, and I'm good with that. However, I just feel like there are some spots where the wrestling needs to be bigger than the celebrity crossover, not the other way around. And as much as this pains me to say, because for a hot minute there leading up to WrestleMania last year and this year, I kind of felt like, okay, we got The Rock back, but somebody's going to have to explain to me why it is that The Rock could get that involved to the lead up to WrestleMania and then not just not show up for it, but not show up for it and send a rapper. And for the record, this could have been the freaking leads. This could have been Dave Grohl himself. I still feel like, based on the limited exposure I've had via social media clips and whatnot, that this was pointless.
Dave Grohl working on paternity suits right now.
Yeah, probably not the time or place.
I may be like one of the very few people who was glad.
If you're going to say you liked it, you absolutely are.
All right, I was glad that Dwayne wasn't there, because what would Dwayne do? Dwayne would hog the spotlight off of John Cena making history. Dwayne being in the ring, Dwayne being anywhere near the ring would be taking away from a historical event as far as wrestling goes.
I don't want to disagree with you here,
And I wish he would stay away forever, but he won't.
Fine. That's all fine. I agree. I even agree with you. I completely agree with you. But what should have been in my opinion, one of the most monumental conclusions to a match of all time. Forget what happens in the match. Just the outcome of it should have been this monumental thing, ended up being a match that was effectively dictated by Travis Scott, right? Like dictated by Travis Scott.
All the people whining and crying that The Rock didn't show up don't get it.
No, hang on.
You got robbed of your Rock moment. So what? He'll show up again. And when he's been there, it's been weird and it hasn't made sense. I would rather him not be there.
I agree.
And take away, he would have took away from the shine from John Cena, and John Cena needed all that spotlight. And Travis Scott being there did not take away from the shine. He could not beat Cody Rhodes straight up. There's no way he could. Physically, it would not have looked right. There had to be interference. Someone had to interfere. Why not the guy who punched Cody in the face last
time? Fine. I agree with everything you're saying. Everything you're saying. In fact, I even went a step further in trying to be, for lack of a better word, an apologist. I have leaned on the fact that in his lead-up heel promo, John Cena said, I'm going to ruin wrestling. And I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't even seen it, just on the clips I've seen. And I'm still going to watch and put myself through it, just on the clips that I have seen so far. I mean, I guess he kept his word because, again, from what I understand, night 2 was a script flipped of night 1. Night 1, I thought, was a slog to get to a really fantastic end to night 1. I thought the main event in night 1, the triple threat, was as entertaining of a match as we've seen in a long time.
All right, so SI Wrestling just tweeted WrestleMania shattered company records for gate, viewership, merchandise, and more. I mean, so here's, okay, I mean, you could be upset.
Let me finish my thought.
It's nitpicking by a bunch of people.
Let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought. First and foremost, this is going to be the one critique I have of Hunter right now. I don't give a damn about your profit margin. Stop bragging about it. It doesn't do anything for me. You making millions more dollars does zero for me. Nothing. Nada. You ain't brought ticket prices down. You're advertising constantly in every show to the point that, for me subjectively, the advertising, even at WrestleMania, the constant advertising took away from. I want to watch wrestling, and I want to for 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 hours or whatever. I want to be immersed in the product. I want to live in your universe. Same as when I go see an Avengers movie, I want to live in that universe for a minute. The constant flow of advertising took me. No, stop it. No, absolutely not. I don't. This is not an old man take. Okay.
Oh, it's for sure an old man take.
It is not an old man take. When I watched the show, I'm not saying no advertising. I understand you thrive. That's where the money's made. I get it. But the concept.
We at the Rob Brown Show love advertising, by the way.
Absolutely.
If you would like to advertise on the show, please contact
fine. Yes, I agree.
Management.
I'm not saying don't advertise. I'm saying when you are sending out, forget that. I'm going to put that aside because that's a whole different segment. The constant, everything feels like it is just a constant struggle to wring every penny out of every second of broadcasting, to the point that it became, for me, even on Saturday, there were moments where I became pulled out of the immersion. And I don't want that. I want to be immersed. Just like a great movie, I want to be immersed from the start to the finish. And I felt like there were spots that pulled me out of it. Now, put that aside for a second. My issue with the main event was that if Rock's not involved, that's fine. I don't get the need to force Travis Scott in there, which absolutely, Alonzo said this before we came on the air. At the end of the day, the goal is what? Create new wrestling fans. Yes, absolutely. No problem. No issue with that at all. What I am saying is Gunther's right. Buddy of the show, Gunther is right. There needs to be some level of sacred in certain spots. I'm not saying everything, but the main event at WrestleMania should be about the main event at WrestleMania. That's not saying you can't have run-ins. Last year's WrestleMania with 10 freaking minutes of absolute chaos, I was immersed. I was all in. This is great. Wrestler, celebrity wrestler. It was incredible. This year, The Travis Scott thing felt forced. Number two, my man had I've seen the whole intro. My man had an intro as long as the damn Undertaker. Cody Rhodes is laying in the corner for 10 minutes waiting for this guy to get. If this is important, if it is important enough for him to be a part of whatever this little faction of Dwayne's is that he's coming out to influence, then get your ass to the ring and act like it's real. But when you're stunting with an ECW hardcore belt and you're taking Undertaker lengths of time, well, I got two guys in the ring doing nothing, jack all, waiting for you to get there and hit your spot. It just completely takes me out of the immersion.
All right. All this is an exaggeration on your part. Watch the match. I mean, put a timer on it if you have to. It didn't last nearly as long as you're saying it did.
This is one of those things where perspective is reality. If your spot is to run in and influence the outcome of the match, then run in. This is like, you know what it felt like to me? Was when Jeff Hardy made his return to AEW when Matt Hardy was getting his ass kicked. Matt Hardy's in the ring getting the hell beat out of him. Jeff Hardy comes out and he does his whole entrance on the ramp and then like Skip hops it. I'm like, your brother's in there getting his ass worked. Get in there and help him. And when it's like, now it feels more like an actor making a scene than it does a wrestler coming in to save his brother or buddy or whatever. Again, haven't seen it in context. And I acknowledge that. And I will watch it tonight and have it more like an actual opinion tomorrow. But just the clips I've seen, it kind of felt like it ended up taking what was a good lead up to a main event and just kind of tanking the main event. And I don't want it to. All right, I'll watch it tonight. I'll have the full breakdown of my actual thoughts, not based on everybody else's, tomorrow. We'll wrap up the show with whatever you want to wrap up the show with when we come back. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. The Rob Brown Show is on the Fan Upstate.
In the end, even though it seems like it's all about John Cena, it's not. It's all about Randy Orton. Randy Orton will break that record. Randy Orton will be the greatest wrestler of all time, according to record. We saw the beginnings of that last night. Also, after
Orton's the one taking the belt off of Cena?
Cena even
no, a one defense run?
Yeah, Cena even said whoever gets 18th, he will cheer them on. And I think he even mentioned Randy Orton because Randy Orton's next as far as how being closest. Yes, Randy Orton takes the belt off of Cena. And it might be in December at the last appearance but for sure. Yeah, he's making a lot. He already knew that, by the way, Spartanburg Jay. He knew that what Randy Orton did last night. I
have social media. Like, I'm aware of everything that's happened. I literally said, Spartanburg Jay, like, I guess if nothing else, John Cena told the truth when he said it was going to ruin wrestling. But, like, that's not. And
he reiterated that yesterday. What he keeps saying is he's taking that belt home with him. So if he does, and then he mentions, yes, Raw will happen after I do it. There'll be a new belt, but it won't be this belt. You know, that belt's not the original belt that he's acting like it is. There's been many iterations of the belt. And I think it's a combination of the WWE and WCW belt. When they combined those to make those into the Universal Championship, and then they made another one. No belt's the original belt. And once Joe Hendry came out, nothing could have ruined it for me after that. That was just such a great moment. But it also was such a great moment for the crowd. I think it made everything else after lesser. But now I also get to say Rick Who, and I'm so glad about that. And Randy Orton will be the next pure WWF, WWE wrestler to win that many belts. Ric Flair never did that.
I don't know. Listen, I don't think you have to like Ric Flair to recognize what Ric Flair was or is to the industry. I think there's a lot of wrestlers I could say that. In fact, I think most wrestlers I could say that about. I just look at it and go, Cena breaking that record, even if he's a heel, and even if he's doing it heel ways and heel things, I think should be a moment that all of us would look back and go, I was watching win. And even if you want to make it a I'm here to ruin wrestling feel, I just don't feel like it had the weight.
You didn't watch it. You keep saying
I
that, and
disagree.
you didn't watch it. So I mean,
But I have a lot of wrestling buddies. And
don't
none
go
them
off
have-
of their feelings. Go off of your own. Don't make a decision before you watch it yourself.
Texture said if it wasn't bad enough having Yeet Boy go over Gunther, the way he won was horrible. The Cena Rhodes match was abysmal. So interesting couple of takes. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time there because we talk some wrestling and we are going to be sprinkling WrestleMania takes in throughout the week. But I will say this. Number one, the Jay Gunther match wasn't good. The ending was fine. And I'll tell you why. If you followed, and again, this is where it's going to end up being super wrestling nerdy, and then we'll get away from it. If you watch the history of Gunther in WWE, there is only one thing that has consistently caused Gunther to tap out, and it is that hold. That's the same hold that Ilya Dragunov beat him to take the NXT title off of him back before Gunther moved up to the big roster. Gunther has repeatedly tapped out immediately to the sleeper hold because and the thought behind it is he's so good at it and he knows what it does to people that he's not going to allow himself to be put through that, so he taps out early. Jay actually used a finishing move that has historically been very effective against Gunther. So actually the ending to that match to me was better than the match itself. But that and Jay showing up to his, I'm not going to speculate, but clearly being on a different level in his post-match threat.
Yeah, you don't need to speculate.
Yeah. I think Jay's reign is going to be relatively short. I think Jay's going to probably get like a defense or two before he drops it to somebody. We'll find out. We'll again continue to have the.
Well, it's either going to be Braun or it's going to be Seth.
Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree at all. So we'll see how that plays out as we roll on through the road to next WrestleMania, which starts 2 days ago.
Well, it started yesterday. Sure. Or like at midnight on Sunday.
Yeah. A lot of pay-per-views between, premium live events between here and there. All right. Let's get some other stuff. This story is not really anything that's dramatic in the landscape of college football, but I found it very interesting. There's a cat by the name of Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar, as Diesel will know, was last year's QB1 for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Had a pretty good season. How good? Good enough that Joey Aguilar, back in the winter transfer portal, put his name in the portal and got picked up by the UCLA Bruins. Now, for those of you that have been following college football, that may pique your ears up just a little bit because you go, wait a minute. UCLA's been mentioned a couple of times this offseason, and you are absolutely correct. They have been mentioned a couple of times this offseason, primarily because when former Tennessee Volunteers quarterback Nico Iamaleava put his name into the transfer portal after being kicked off the team or removing himself from the team, whichever might be true, by Josh Heupel in the University of Tennessee, he was immediately connected to the UCLA Bruins. In fact, when he put his name in the portal, he did so with a do not contact tag. Ordinarily, a do not contact tag means that there was some discussion happening somewhere between Nico Iamaleava and somebody. Turns out it likely was UCLA. As within just a couple of days of entering the transfer portal, Nico Iamaleava ended up heading out to University of California, Los Angeles, and did so with a $1.5-ish million NIL deal that after taxes is going to end up being about $960,000 when you calculate in the cost of living increase going from Knoxville, Tennessee out to Los Angeles, California. The estimation is that Nico Iamaleava lost somewhere to the tune of about $1.6 million worth of mucho dinero. Well, the other thing that it did was open up a quarterback spot at the University of Tennessee, and it closed out a quarterback spot at UCLA. I mentioned Joey Aguilar because Joey Aguilar had transferred from, I'm going to stop doing that, had transferred from Appalachian State.
You're not. You're just putting it in everyone's face that you can roll ours and we can't.
You're the only one that has an issue with somebody being able to roll ours.
I am not the only
You
one.
take it very
I'm
personally.
just the most vocal. That's all.
So Joey Aguilar transferred from Appy State to UCLA, where he was the presumed quarterback one for the Bruins next year. But then Nico Iamaleava transferred out to UCLA, meaning that Joey Aguilar was no longer the presumed QB number one. So, like I think a lot of college football players would, knowing that he went from QB1 to QB not one with the signing of one Nico Iamaleava, Joey Aguilar entered his name in the transfer portal for the second time in 4 months. Remember, he transferred from Appy State to UCLA in the winter, and then in the spring, he transferred from Appy State to, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the University of Tennessee. Joey Aguilar will be headed to Knox Vegas. Now, what's interesting is that Nico Iamaleava had a $2 million NIL deal in place with the University of Tennessee. He walked away because he wanted to increase that to $4 million. UT said, absolutely not. We're not negotiating. It's either the two or the bust. He said, I'm sitting out. They said, okay, bust it is. They sent him out. He ended up with a deal that is worth, again, roughly $1.2 million from UCLA after taxes, calculates to less than $970,000. Joey Aguilar had a deal at UCLA where he signed in the winter transfer portal for roughly 1.2 and some change million dollars. He transfers to UT. They get him an NIL deal that is worth roughly $1.2 million. That means when it was all said and done, Joey Aguilar is going to be making more from the Tennessee Volunteers than Nico Iamaleava is going to be making from the UCLA Bruins. Now, granted, that factors in the taxes and all that. On its surface, their NIL deals are remarkably similar. But, of course, Los Angeles, California has a slightly higher cost of living than Knox Vegas, Tennessee, with all due respect. And it's not disrespectful. They just have a slightly higher cost of living than they do in Knoxville, Tennessee. Which means that when the calculations are all completed, at the end of the year, Joey Aguilar is going to have more money in the wallet than Nico Iamaleava does. Here's what I hope above all else. I've said a couple of times. There is only one person in this entire situation that I actually feel sympathy for in this entire conversation, and that is Nico Iamaleava. From what we understand, and again, all of this could be true. Some of this could be true. None of this could be true. It is probably going to take some time, if we ever actually get a full behind-the-scenes truth-telling of the entire scenario. But from the reporting that we have, from the conversations that have been had, et cetera, it seems as if Nico Iamaleava is allowing and it's his right to do so, because again, with adult opportunity comes adult consequence. Nico Iamaleava has, it seems on its surface level, been allowing his father to make the decisions on his behalf, or at least be heavily invested into all of that. And Nico Iamaleava's father may, again, if the smoke in the air is justified, may have slightly overvalued the value of Nico Iamaleava. And in doing so, gotten him removed, because there's one more factor to this that hasn't been discussed. And that is the long-term benefit of playing for a brand as large as the Power T in Knoxville versus playing for an also-ran program like UCLA. I say that with all due respect to UCLA, but the visibility of UCLA is not on the scope of Tennessee's. It's just not. That's not meant to be a disrespect or anything like that. It's not in the same stratosphere in terms of brand power. Playing at UT would have you on a larger radar than playing at UCLA. That's just a fact. So by overplaying the hand, overestimating the value of Nico Iamaleava, Nico Iamaleava's father, Big Nico, may have cost his kid up to $500,000 to $600,000, roughly. Now, that is, he may have taken him off the radar of a lot of places. And that's not to say if Nico goes to UCLA and he balls the hell out, he's still going to be on the NFL radar. But if he goes and he's underwhelming, he does what he does for UCLA, what he did at Tennessee, and he's underwhelming, he may have cost him even more than that. If he tanks down draft boards down the line because he just isn't that good and he can't develop at UCLA like maybe he would have at Tennessee, it may have cost him a lot more long run. Here's the one thing I hope, because again, the only person for me that gets sympathy in this situation is Nico Iamaleava. I hope, if nothing else, that this whole situation serves as a cautionary tale for college football players, the stature of Nico Iamaleava. More importantly, I hope it serves as a tale of opportunity for kids like Joey Aguilar. Go to a place like Appy State, develop, build yourself, grow into opportunities, and recognize others' mistakes could be your benefit. I hope it's a cautionary tale for half and a tale of go get yours, young man, for the rest.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, let's get to this X thing and find out what is Xing, because Rob's going to let us know. First thing is Pat McAfee.
Ooh, what a week it has been for Pat McAfee. You guys know I have been a McAfee stan, primarily because I love the broadcasting world where guys like me are just allowed to be guys like me. Not a super great week for Pat. And I'm not just talking, like, there was a lot of stuff that went on at Raw last night where him and Buddy of the show Gunther got into it a little bit, apparently, towards the end of the show. There was some stuff that got said in, on, and around the McAfee show that would be, if you're woke, somewhat problematic for some different reasons. But the one thing I did see was that apparently a lot of people kind of got turned off to Pat's commentary during WrestleMania. And as much as I love Pat, there were some spots where I was like, pull it back and let the wrestling talk a little bit here, back. Yeah,
you're the first one I heard that.
I'm not the first one I've heard it from.
And I haven't seen it anywhere, but different circles. When we see the choke out, remember he was just sitting like right over there, like last year or whenever. Do you sit there and think, he couldn't do that to me? Do you think that?
Gunther?
Yeah.
No, that dude would have beat my ass.
No.
In every sense of it. Lonzo, if you think if there is a bone in your body that thinks you would last more than 2 seconds with Gunther.
You're missing the point. I don't think he can get his arms around my neck.
Yes, he could. Listen, I am as in on
look at the look on his face, those of you watching.
Because the absolute fanatic disillusion.
I went dude there.
The fanatic disillusion of you thinking that you would last 6 seconds with that man is beyond fantastical.
I fought a migraine all day. Bring Gunther on.
Yeah.
All right, the next exact scene is Shannon Sharp.
So Unc Shannon signed a big broadcasting deal the other day, and then immediately was hit with a $50 million lawsuit. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties and the details because I, like everybody else, believe that it should be given its time to find its way through the proper channels to find out what's true, what's not, et cetera, et cetera. Suffice to say, good thing he signed that deal because it looks like Shannon might need some lawyers coming up.
All right. The next thing is Rusev.
Ooh, Rusev Day. I think a lot of people were expecting that Rusev or Aleister Black were going to come out as Randy Orton's opponent at WrestleMania. I have not gotten the chance to watch the match. I will just simply say that I believe in Joe Hendry, but Rusev didn't come out last night, did he?
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yes.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, you said
No,
you saw.
it's on me. It's on me.
You said you saw
You
all
are
the
correct.
stuff.
Listen, it's on me. Listen, with stuff like movies and TV shows, I think there's like a 2-week grace period. With professional wrestling, we have 4 days until the next show. Like, if you're not up to date on your wrestling, it's kind of on you. What did he do? You might as well just tell me now.
He came out and interrupted the New Day and who were New Day getting ready to wrestle? Otis and Tozawa.
Don't take my guy's spot, Rusev. Don't take my guys. You're not even in a tag team unless they tag him with Aleister Black, in which case
That's
injected directly into my veins.
That's what I thought was going to
Oh,
happen.
Rusev and Aleister Black as a tag team. Give it to me all day.
So apparently yesterday was Rusev Day. Today, I don't know if you knew
Is,
this. It's also Rusev Day.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard. I'm
All right.
I'm glad to hear it.
The next thing Zach's seen is Jack Nicholson.
I got nothing. 83rd birthday.
88.
Oh, was in the 80s.
And finally, Jeffrey
He's
Dean
an
Morgan.
octogenarian.
I'm guessing you know who Jeffrey Dean
Yeah,
Morgan
it's
is?
Negan.
Okay.
And like a bunch of other cool characters. But like that first season of Negan on Walking Dead was one of the greatest characters I've ever seen brought to life on TV. And then it
Stopped
just
watching
tanked after that. Yeah.
Because couldn't. Yeah.
First season of Negan was great. And then that show just absolutely bleeped the bed.
He's 59.
After one season of Negan, that show JD vanced. It was just not great. Sorry, JD, you did it to yourself. And I didn't, because I didn't pick up the Heisman and demolish it. I'm sorry. That's just your thing now.
He was also the dad in Supernatural, which is the first time I ever saw him. So
I saw him in something. He was in a movie. Not a movie. He was in
he was in Watchmen. He's been in a lot of stuff.
No, what was the comic book thing he was in not too long ago?
Watchmen.
No. I mean, yes, but he was
Batman's dad.
No, not that. It was
we gotta go.
He was an imaginary character in goodness. I know we got to go. I'll remember and tell you about it tomorrow. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, you have bad taste in radio. Come back tomorrow. We'll try it all over again. For Alonzo, I'm Rob. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
Did JD Vance break something else?
No.
I
don't do it.
I get it.
Don't,
I get it, and I like it.
Don't do it. Why would
I
you
get
like it?
and I like the joke.
A man is dead.
It's
Stop
a joke.
it.
I like the joke.
Stop
Good
it.
Joke. It's a good joke.
You're offending Catholics.
I like
Stop
dark
it.
humor. That's a good joke. All right.
Which is why he was also trending with the Antichrist. I mean, the whole time. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, you know.
It's a dark joke. I'm not disagreeing with that. It's a dark joke. Oh, man. All right, kids. I have like 50 things that I have to get caught up on from yesterday, so I have to run. I thank you all for your time, energy, effort, and attention. You're all amazing people. Please tell your friend about us. We're trying. Your friend.
Just the one guy. Just the one. Yeah.
Tell your run friend about us. If all of you tell one friend, and they all tell one friend, and they all tell one friend, Lonzo and I can retire next week.
There's an entire, well, anyway.
We're working on it. We need like 6 friends. We can get to like 6 friends. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Kane, appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much. I do it for you, the people, because I am
Don't feed into his ego.
a man
Stop
of the
it.
people. See you all tomorrow. Goodbye.